Today, we look forward to the Supreme Championships. And after the celebrating comes the selling. Well, good morning to you all and welcome back to the showground here at Llanelwedd on this, the second day of this year's Winter Fair. And yesterday was such an important day for all of us who enjoy coming here to the showground and all of us who support our national festivals, as this is the Royal Welsh Agricultural Society's first major event since the 2019 Winter Fair. Now then, there's plenty going on today in the cattle ring. We'll be starting off with the baby beef section. And later in the day, of course, we'll be looking forward to the Heifer Championship, the Steer Championship, the Supreme Championship, and of course, the highlight of the Winter Fair, the Grand Auction. And of course, there will be plenty going on in the sheep ring as well. A very successful day yesterday for the Hall family from Carlisle. But will they be as successful today in the main championships? Well, since 2009, it's been the butcher's weight class and the pure continental classes that have come to the fore. But what will this year have in store? Well, in the horse ring, we'll see the sport horses, the Welsh ponies, cob types, the Welsh cobs, and later on we'll see the Welsh Championship as well as the Supreme Championship for the best horse in the Winter Fair. Well, another member of the S4C presentation team is Aaron Pugh, who's with Nia. And as he says, there are reindeers and there's a leopard as well. He's not quite sure which category he fits into, but Aaron's just explaining that yesterday flew past. It was a very busy day, of course, and today he'll be concentrating on the pick section and visiting the carcass hall. And as Nia says, there's plenty of opportunity to do some Christmas shopping. But as Aaron says, Christmas is quite a way away at the moment. English language commentary is available by pressing the red button if you're watching on Sky, Freeview or Virgin Media. If you have a TiVo box or a Sky Q box, then look for the audio selection option. Bore da, unwaith eto. Well, yesterday was a very successful day here at the Winter Fair, and today promises to be even better with all the Supreme Championships to look forward to. And by the way, if you're having trouble accessing the English language commentary service, then phone S4C's viewers hotline. Well, it was quite a mild day. It was quite cold, but let's see now, and we'll hear from Llyr Griffiths-Davies, the S4C weatherman, what the weather has in store for us today. As Llyr is saying, it's milder than it was yesterday, but it's going to be cloudy here in Llanelwedd for most of the day. A few light showers, perhaps. Cloudy, as he says. But tonight, there's going to be a change in the weather. There's going to be some wind and rain. But fortunately, by then, the Winter Fair will be over. Well, this is Llyr's first time at the Winter Fair. He's been to the summer show, of course, on several occasions, and he's going to be visiting the food hall, apparently, and his only concern is if he was to buy a few Christmas presents today, he'll probably have eaten them before Christmas. Well, our first port of call this morning is going to be the cattle ring, and it's the baby beef section, so it's a very good morning once again to Gerald Lewis. A great day yesterday, Gerald, and plenty going on today.
Yes, good morning all. Yes, indeed, it was the day yesterday of the mature cattle, the heavyweight cattle, and today is now the futures, and to be followed later today by the overall championship, obviously, but at the moment we have what they call the baby beef section, and it starts off with baby beef continental heifer, 425 kilos and under. So they split the class all the way through into several sections because of all the number of heifers that are actually entered in the competition. If they were all in the ring at the same time, we'd have quite a lot of cattle in there. So we'll make it in the smaller sections first, and then they work their way up in weights. We have our first look at the baby beef judge is Mr. David Brute from Llangangle Tallinn in Brecon. He produces a lot of show potential calves and prides himself on very good herd of continental cows and producing continental calves. It's not his main income due to farming. He do a lot of agricultural contracting throughout the season with his son and contract baling and a lot of other spraying and harvest work. He farms some 350 acres and keeps a lot of 550 Texel Cross ewes, obviously for good quality Texel lambs as well. So he is no stranger to success in the show ring himself in the baby beef section, and has produced a lot of very good calves which have gone on and done very, very well. But today he wears the mantle of judge, so he will be looking for an animal that he thinks will go on and become a future champion. But this is very difficult in a sense because you have to judge it for what it is rather than what it is in front of you there. The finished animal, a lot of these calves will grow, maybe losing a little bit of their shape along the way, but today is the day, and he'll be looking for a very pretty, attractive show animal which he thinks will be going on. Standard of calves. I were lucky enough this morning to walk around the exhibitors there, and they were all brushing and putting them ready to be shown, and the standard of the calf, I would say, is outstanding. As we say, 2 years have gone by, but obviously these are all young fresh calves. They've all been born, probably they're ranging from about 6 to 7 months to about 8 to 9 months old, so they will have all been born last spring, last winter time. And we start with the heifer section, and we see very attractive, nice, well turned out calves, as is the norm here in the Royal Welsh Winter Fair. See a local guy there in the centre, and just down the road in Herwood. Argoed Farm. Been successful here, and I'm sure he will be trying his best again. Rob Argoed. As I stated, then they've split the classes in. There's 4 in this, and then they will be up to 6 and 6 and 4. So they are trying their best to, I would say, make the job easier for the judge, because a large class, you have to examine every animal that's in there to the same extent, and it is quite difficult to remember what number 10 was handling like down to number 1. So to make the job easier, they only put 4 or 6 calves in each class, and therefore the judge can also compare when they're all standing quite close together. The handlers again selected some very interesting names in Strawberry Blonde, Pepsi, Linwen, Red Princess. And that name will carry right through now, all the way to maybe the end of their life, whether they go on to win the Fatstock Prize. But as I alluded to yesterday, a lot of these females will be purchased by farmers who think that they'll make an ideal suckler cow that will go on. It looks like as if he's made the decision, and the winner of the very first class in Continental heifer is Rob Jones from Argoed, just down the road in Herwood. She is weighing, Pepsi her name is, and she is weighing in at 246 kilos. Which I would suggest probably be a good weight to be looking at 550 to 600 kilos this time next year. And that will be the ultimate aim if a showman purchases her to go on forward. To obviously let's hope we have successful shows in the summer next year, and a lot of these cattle will be shown throughout the period. Summer shows, and then obviously for the winter fairs and bigger shows, prime stock shows later in the year. So a good start to the fair for Rob and family to win the very first class. Very attractive, sweet and correct heifer to start the show.
Well, Rob Jones, o Llanelwedd, first class of the day, and you've had the red card.
Yeah, it's a very good start to the day.
Yeah, congratulations. What a wonderful heifer you've got there.
Yeah, she's a sweet little heifer, quite young, but a very correct little heifer then.
And how old is she now?
She's coming up to 8 months.
8, and she's weighing well, isn't she? She's coming on well.
She is.
And it's nice to have a local winner here in Built this morning.
Yeah. I think if we had to travel half an hour to get here, we probably wouldn't attend. We're very privileged to be living so locally.
And it's nice to have the winter fair back, isn't it?
Oh, fantastic. It's a real buzz for everybody, you know, and a great camaraderie between, you know, friends and exhibitors.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely, it is.
Well, congratulations. Cracking little heifer.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Diolch yn fawr.
Noddir y rhaglen hon gan Coleg Glyn Llifon, rhan o grŵp Sant Drillo Menai. Noddir y rhaglen hon gan Coleg Glyn Llifon, rhan o grŵp Sant Drillo Menai.
Welcome back to the Royal Welsh Showground. Second day of this year's winter fair, and we'll have our first visit of the day to the sheep ring, and we'll rejoin Gerald.
Yes, indeed, we're back in the sheep ring, and it's the first class of the day in the overall championship of the show, and it is the pure Welsh mountain breed section. So we have obviously all pure breeds that are native to Wales here. But we have a pair of South Wales Mountain, Tregaron Welsh Mountain, Talabont Welsh Mountain, Black Welsh Mountain, Badger Face Mountain, Tordddu, Badger Face Torwen, Balwens, Welsh Hill Speckles, Welsh Mountain Pedigree, Welsh Mountain Hill Flock. So we have quite a lot of, even though they're all derived here in our country of Wales, we have different colours, different shapes, and a little bit different size. And the man with the honours of selecting the winner here is Mr. Paul Slater from Macclesfield. And perhaps I should say, perhaps he'll be a little bit alien to Mr. Slater, because he does breed continental Beltex Texel Shalrays and breeds a lot of rams. Is his main business to sell has commercial rams, but still, no doubt he will enjoy the challenge of selecting a Welsh Hill champion. So I would understand that he would select meat first and foremost. And as I say, it's these particular breeds have quite a lot of coat on themselves, so he would have to use his expertise to assess what is underneath this coat or the wool. And he will make selection all the way through to pull what he considers to be the better lambs first up to the front line, and then he will make his decision then on what he considers to be the best pair of lambs in this particular section. As I stated, there is 10 particular pairs of lambs, and every pair of lambs that is in there, the second place lambs will be in the class with them, and therefore if they're winners of the section are pulled forward, then the second prize lambs do get a chance and are pulled forward for him to compare with the other breeds of lambs. So there will be a lot of lambs present in the ring, but actually only the first prize winners will be judged first. And then, as I say, if the best winner goes forward of, let's just say, the Black Welsh, then the second prize will come forward to have their chance to see if they can go through as reserve in that particular section. Looking at number 291 there. Anyway, we'll have to come back a little bit later on and see who is the lucky winners of this class.
Thanks very much, Gerald. We join Nia now in the Clwyd Glamorgan Hall, and she's with Donald Morgan, who is a familiar face, of course, to those who have visited the Royal Welsh Show in the past. Donald just saying that the standard in the floral art section this year is of a very high standard indeed. And there are 10 different classes in the floral art section. And one of those sections is the Harvest Festival. And Donald's just referring to the fact that this particular wreath here is made up of the spruce and the kind of flowers you'd see around certain churches here in Wales. And they've used the branches of the tree to sort of give it a bit more character. But they're all natural pieces that have been used to put it all together. This is the wreath that Donald has put together, created without an oasis. He's looking to use things that doesn't need an oasis, because obviously it's not that good to the environment. And he's used raw materials, as it were, to give it a bit more texture and a bit more character. And obviously that needs a lot of organisation and prior to putting it all together. And obviously you have to let the fruits dry out before being able to use them within the wreath. And in preparation, obviously he puts the fruit, cuts them up, puts them in the oven on a very low temperature and then lets them dry out. Now we're going to look at some of the examples that have come to the fore. This is made by Miss Helen Jones from Carmarthenshire. Similar colours to what Donald had put together himself.
Eto fel byddech chi'n cael lot o'r gwenith a'r gwair ac ati yn hon. Hefyd mae 'di grwpio lot o'r ffrwythau.
As you can see, she's grouped a lot of fruit and vegetables to create an interesting wreath.
Chydig bach bod y bow ar y top efo chydig bach yn rhy dominant yn tynnu llygad.
The only thing that Donald would say as a kind of criticism is perhaps that the bow at the top is just a little bit too dominant. Now this is the one that won first prize.
Wel, dyma ni un anhygoel llawn yn Mae'n llawn o wahanol.
It's full of different materials, different flowers, different leaves, and the inclusion of the fruit and the vegetable gives it a certain depth. And it does exactly what it says on the tin, a wreath to celebrate the Harvest Festival. And it's the reserve champion Caroline Morgan from Powys. And he is just making the point, it's a different class this year, because usually you get a wreath, a Christmas wreath, to put on the front door. That's one of the classes that have been here in the floral art section in the winter fair in the past, but this offers a different kind of challenge.
Mae'r berthynas rhwng y blodau a'r capel neu'r eglwys yn ei glos, yn dydi?
Yndi, mae yn glos iawn.
And the relationship between the flowers and the chapel is a very close one, and Donald saying that in Aberystwyth he arranges the flowers for the local chapel.
Wel, diolch I bawb sydd wedi bod wrthi'n creu, achos oedd yna le ma 'di Sul fel yr arfer.
And as Nia saying, it was very busy here on Sunday. People obviously very busy putting their exhibits up on the wall for the competitions. And we will return to Nia in the floral arts section a bit later on. In the meantime, let's go to our first visit in the horse ring, and it's a warm welcome to the English language commentary position to a very familiar voice here at the Royal Welsh Showground. Good morning, Rob Jones.
Morning, Gareth. It is indeed. It's good to be back here again after a few years of absence and straight into the horse ring. And we're joining the first of the sport horse classes, one of two. There will be two classes. One is a colt filly or gelding foal, which is before us now, and to follow will be yearling colt filly or gelding. Similar classification. Some good classes here, and some 16 entries forward in this, the foal class. And as we can see, as we sort of pan through the class, it's obviously going to be a class that will contain a variety of types and stamps, etc. But essentially the sport horse is not a particular breed. It's 100% an animal bred to perform. So you're looking for the essentials of good conformation, but particularly with an emphasis on paces and a little bit of athleticism, something that you can ride into the ultimate sort of disciplines, broadly based on the Olympic disciplines of dressage, eventing, show jumping. Important as well is obviously in this game and in this section, you definitely need a horse that is trainable, basically that is right in its head and will take some instruction, otherwise you're going to be arguing as you go throughout its competitive career. And a little note, of course, all important is the judge here, Martin Davis from South Wales, Llantwit Major. Martin, a very well-rounded and very popular judge of all types of horses, very successful as a breeder and a producer, and certainly somebody who will be completely entitled to be in the ring here, having actually sort of found many, many good animals that have gone forward into the competition rings. Knowing Martin as I do, He's definitely got his preferences, not in any particular type or bloodline, but certainly in terms of conformation, he is looking for something entirely trainable, but particularly he's looking for athleticism, good movement. But specifically, he likes a good limb, specifically the front limb is his obsession. No limb, no horse, they say. I'm sure Martin will be very pleased with the selection in front of him here. They certainly look to be exactly what the classification requires. Well-conformed horses, walking nicely, as we can see here in front of us. 1022, Bobby Thomas's Abergwili Alfonso, the animal in front of Martin at the moment, and the format as usual. Walk away, trot back, so you can assess the straightness of movement. 16 forward in front of Martin. No mean feat to make the selection.
Dyna fo'r dyn sy'n cael beirniadur adran yma i'r ceffyl y chwaraeon yn y Ffair Eiaf.
And we'll be back in the horse ring shortly. Don't forget, you can have all the information from the Winter Fair on the social media, Twitter, Facebook and Facebook. And if you want to visit the website, by the way, the address is on the screen, s4c.cymru/Ffair Eiaf. Right, let's go straight back to the sheep ring and we'll rejoin Gerald Lewis.
We're back in the Pure Welsh Mountain Breeds Championship. Mr. Slater has been working tirelessly when we've been away. He has all sorts of, as I alluded to before, different breeds to cast his eyes over, but he looks at the moment and he's gone to the front line with the pair of badger-faced Torthy lambs. That is from Mr. Kevin Davis on Llanybydder. I'm sure he's thinking, hopes he stays there. He features these yesterday, two very attractive ewe lambs. So as I stated then, now we will be assessing the second place Torwen lambs. Torthy, sorry, that come forward. Oh, he's selected now another pair of Welsh lambs forward.
Mae'n braf nabod rhywun sy'n ennill yn yw e,
chi'n iawn yna, ond Kevin ddim yn moyn siarad â fi.
A hwnnw'n ychwanegu at y wefan.
Stated Mr. Slater is a continental breeds all continental sheep himself to produce rams for commercial lands, but anyway, as Kevin is champion, you can see that it means quite a bit to win the prestigious award.
And
obviously then they transfer from this on to the overall final later on.
Yeah, beth ti'n meddwl de? Breuddwyd? Ydw nhw'n wir?
Ie, fan hyn, am rhywbeth dechrau fel hobby.
Keen young spectator there in the background, hoping one day this will be me.
Gain to.
Llongwerchiadau mor iawn, Kevin. Da iawn ti. Llongwerchiadau.
Croeso nôl i ddosbarth y beef ifanc, y baby beef, yr heffrod cyfandirol sydd yma. Peth cyntaf bore yma, yr ail ddosbarth o'n blaen ni, heffrod.
Back in the cattle ring in the second section of the baby beef heifer under 425 kilos. As we see, there's 6 entries in this.
Mae'r enwau mawr sydd yn cynhyrchu.
We have up in the weight slightly from 305 kilos to 332. So we stated yesterday then a lot of the classes were a tremendous difference in the weight range, but these are all calves of born in a similar age and that, and obviously they are classified together in weight. So Mr. Brute here as judge hasn't quite such a difficult task to try and assess the different size of cattle. And see a local competitor there that I know very well, Miss Wendy Morgan from Nagwina in Llandysant. Lives with her partner Trevor up here in Birth. I know they are successful. And number 175. This heifer is 332 kilos. So therefore another one goes forward to the final of champion heifer later on, and that is an exceptional good heifer, to be fair. Shakira, her name is, so will we see Shakira up in lights later on? We'll have to wait and find out. Very wide natural heifer that will be obviously looking forward to going forward, as I say, in 12 months time, being here again if whoever purchases this heifer would like to come forward.
Arbennig iawn. Wel, edrychwn ni mlaen feti at y dosbarthiadau nesaf. Bydd Geraint bron i fan hyn ynghylch y gwartheg lot mwy o gystadlu i ddod, felly peidiwch mynd rhy bell. Wel, Wendy yn gyntaf, llongyfarchiadau mor iawn i ti. Yn wyneb cyfarwydd ynghylch y gwartheg, a wedi cael cardau goch ma Lenny to.
Wendy is no stranger to the show ring, and the family, Morgan family living in Llandysant there, is very, very keen in lambs and cattle. And I've had numerous success over the years, so there's been another feather in the cap, and I'm sure Wendy will be hoping that they'll go one step further and become champion baby beef. And there will be a significant reward on the end of this, because if a lot of prospective purchasers will be there and watching Howard, and hopefully they'll get a chance to buy her later on.
Llongyfarchiadau mor iawn I ti, a pob hwyl efo'r bistach. Diolch, Wendy.
Noddir y rhaglen hon gan Coleg Glyn Llifon, rhan o grŵp Llandrillo Menai. Noddir y rhaglen hon gan Coleg Glyn Llifon, rhan o grŵp Sandriso Menai.
Welcome back to the Royal Welsh Showground, and as we can see, Aaron is in the Carcass Hall, and John Richards from Meat Promotion Wales, and he's just explaining that it's an exciting day, of course, when all the auctions start selling the stock and, of course, the meat, and the first sale of the day will be the carcass.
Mae mostyn yn bleser I dod yma i'r neuadd carcas, a chi gweld y carcasses sy'n flaen ni.
Gerald, what would a judge be looking for in the single carcass section?
Well, the single carcass section then would be, I know this perhaps sounds a silly thing to say, but I mean, the judge, if he prefers for his own butcher shop, and he's a butcher himself, then probably he would like a little bit more fat cover than perhaps then the supermarket judge would require. So we're interested to see that confirmation obviously is paramount, and they start at the top end of the carcass there with the hindquarters, and we can see these are obviously native breeds which are not quite as muscular and excessively muscled as the Continentals, but still right through down you'd like to see a nice even carcass, and as we can see then the rib cage and the loin has become very, very important in the carcasses, whereas, as I've alluded to many times before, back end always seems to be where the most expensive cut, but as a lot of housewives prefer the chops and the loin and the shoulders now. So, and we can see then the carcasses. We can see that the carcass is there, like in the colour perspective. We can look at that particular lamb there, is red. So there isn't quite the fat cover on that, is there, as is on some of the carcasses by the side, and that's what they're looking for, because when that carcass is cut up, that white would be the fat that surrounds the actual carcass and would produce the fat which they then make the gravy from, isn't it?
So you mentioned the fact that what the butcher would look for, whatever. What would a housewife look for, do you think?
Well, the housewife, it depends, but a lot of the traditional housewives would prefer, and there is husband cooking as well now, yes, obviously, but the housewife, I'm sure, is the one that goes into the butcher shop with the money in the hand, yes, but they would look for a joint that obviously they make gravy out of the fat, and the fat would leave a little bit in the bottom of the roasting pan. So therefore I would suggest that the housewife would like with a little bit more cover on, rather than the supermarket is just there for red meat. Now we're looking at the double muscled lambs, as I alluded to, when you can see the excessive back end. So these would be probably Texel, Beltex, Blue Texel or the Charleroi, and creating that serious width. And that's so maybe a lot of butchers like going back to native animals in the Welsh, but a lot of butchers would buy that because there is a lot of meat to cut up and display in their butcher shop.
From a butcher's point of view, with that particular carcass that we've seen there, a butcher would look at it and say there's a great deal of meat available on that particular carcass that he could sell.
Well, yes, and the hindquarters of lambs are in the shop, as we all know, are more expensive than anything else. So therefore there's when he cuts that carcass up, then the back leg of that lamb probably will be able to cut it in half again, so it'll still be a leg of lamb, basically two legs of lamb out of one leg, isn't it? So it's common sense that is where their money is made, so they would like an excessive kind, but the quality still has to come into it, or eating quality.
It's quite empty at that carcass hall at the moment, as we can see, but of course it'll be very busy there later on when we come to the auctions later in the day. Nia is still with Donald Morgan, and looking at another section within the floral art and horticultural section. And this particular class is
Mae ti fan hyn gosodiad trosod ac lisianthus a pethau fel na mewn o fe. Falle mwy I fi yn bersonol, rhywbeth mwy fydden ni'n gweud i'r am deg yr haf allan a beth yw enwan weinol.
Reit.
Achos ti bod I fi, fydden ni'n chwilo am pethau blodau gwanwyn ac ati.
And then there are spring flowers, and the class, of course, as I was looking for it, is the spring wedding. And it's a very tidy, delicate bouquet there. And obviously we'll have a look at the other sections and the other exhibitors in the in this particular section. And this is by Mary Olson from Merthyr Tydfil. As you can see, a bigger arrangement of flowers. And Donald personally would like to have seen a few more spring flowers within this particular arrangement. And that twirl that's been placed around the arrangement gives it a bit more movement, but there may well be a little too much of the twirl there, which distracts one's eye from the actual arrangement itself.
Eto gosodiad neu hand-tied hyfryd iawn. Eto mae gen ti chydig bach o'r tulips fan hyn, so mae gen ti chydig bach o'r...
As you can see, there's a few tulips in there, obviously a spring flower, but also there are hydrangeas there, and they may well have been dried and added onto the arrangement. And if the bridesmaids and the bride was wearing a kind of a purple colour, then this would be applicable to a wedding of that nature. But also as a bouquet, one has to think in terms of the bride actually carrying the bouquet itself. This one, as you can see, with a few freesias, is a bit more petite, a few orchids there as well. But as you can see underneath, there's that heart shape there that's as well, which adds to the bouquet. Again, Donald is just suggesting personally he would prefer to see a few more spring flowers included. This is Donald's exhibit in the hand tie. And he thought, okay, spring flowers, daffodils, not the type of daffodil he'd like to have because obviously they're not available. There's quite a nice aroma there as well, gives the hand tie a bit more depth. And the pink colour, obviously quite obvious there. And he's also included a few hyacinth bulbs to add a bit more texture. And obviously, as Niasin, it says the spring, and Donald's glad that she mentioned that this is a spring hand tie. Right, we'll leave the horticulture and the floral art section and we'll return to the horse ring. So it's back to Rob Jones.
Y beirniad, Mr Martin Robert Davies o Bro Morgannwg sy'n cael y fraint o dyfarnu neu beirniadur adran yma a Dorian Lloyd, brydfa perthog sydd yn cadw cwmni I fi fan hyn. Ar hyn o bryd, Dorian, Blue 2 sydd ar y brig ac ceffyl efo gwaed unigryw.
Yndi, mae'n dda gweld ceffyl mor ifanc allan o'r march I fo'n berthynos. Mae'n anffodus, mae'r march ddim efo ni ddim rhagor a mae'r rhai bod hwn yn un ar ei ola fydd. So, mae o'n waid gyffredeg o dda I fo'n onest.
Dyma nhw yn cael ei anfon allan. Unwaith eto, falle fydd yna rhyw newid yn y gosodiadau. Gewn ni weld. Ond y beirniad yn cael cyfle I edrych arno nhw unwaith eto.
Downgrading in size as he cuts out the horses, but nonetheless an enormous amount of experience in the horse ring from riding and producing Arabs, hacks. He's actually judged the hacks at the Horse of the Year show again, just showing the respect that this man commands and deserves.
Pwy sydd yn mynd â hi?
class in front of us now is the foal, Coulter Filly foal class. 16 entries forward.
Zara Owen.
Without many having been lost to the day.
Zara hapus one.
It looks as if Martin has made his final decision in this class.
Zara Owen, Dolas Showgirl.
Which sees...
And dod i'r brig yma yn y ffair eaf.
Showgirl.
Wedi tynnu fewn yn ail, mae Booth Night Fever, yn Berchnogaeth.
2-1, a bay filly bred by herself, the exhibitor, Margaret Jones.
Blue 2.
Sire of 1021 on the screen now, classic opera. Truly continental. Bred horse. Very successful sire, obviously resulting in this really nice pattern of a sport horse. Exactly what you would expect to see in this section. To be very clear, the sport horse section is not a breed in itself. It's a combination of bloodlines, obviously, that results in a well-conformed horse that is destined or designed to be able to go on and actually sort of perform.
Margaret Jones.
Show jumping. Many other disciplines as well. So the winner there, Margaret Jones is
Dolas Showgirl. Yw'r enillydd. Zara Owen yn cynhyrchu ac llongyfarchiadau mawr I Dolas Showgirl a Margaret Jones. Dyma ni yr enillydd yn y dosbarth cyntaf byd yma yn y ffair Zara. It was a nice win. Second, moved up to first.
Yeah, no, lovely. Yeah, really nice. It's first time out for it, so delighted.
And you've had a bit of success showing for Margaret, haven't you, in the past? Yeah,
we've had a great time. I used to ride the mare it was out of. We had great fun with her, so it's lovely now her stock's coming on.
Well, I can see Margaret over there with her iPad filming a lot. So
yeah, she's delighted. She thinks the world of it.
Well, breakfast is on her, I hope.
I hope so.
No, congratulations, Diane.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Enillydd i'r dosbarth cywion yn adran y ceffylau chwaraeon. Y Berchnogaeth Margaret Jones Dolas. Dolas Showgirl. Yn cael ei arddangos gen Zara Owen.
Noddir y rhaglen hon gan Coleg Glyn Llifon, rhan o grŵp Sant Drillo Menai. Noddir y rhaglen hon gan Coleg Glyn Llifon, rhan o grŵp Sandriso Menai.
Welcome back to the second day here at the Winter Fair at the Royal Showground at Llanelwydd. We go back to the sheep ring. Gerald, we've seen the pure Welsh Mountain breed class. We're concentrating now on the pure continental breed.
Yes, the pure Texel, traditional Texel lambs, Dutch Texel, Blue Texel, Beltex, Bereshon, and any other pure continental breed above, which would be Dazenkops and other breeds. So I wouldn't hesitate to say that we are getting into the meat machines, as we've seen earlier on, the carcass competition. You can see now the product live walking around, and a lot of these lambs would have excessive muscling. And it's up to Mr. Slater here to assess what is underneath the skin of these lambs. Very, very well turned out and trimmed, exceptional. And you see the Blue Texel pair in front of us there. Very attractive lambs and trimmed to perfection. As I've alluded to many times, these Texel, Beltex and that, they are now locomotion, and they've worked tirelessly and very hard to breed these lambs that stand correctly and look correct, and looking down the line, and obviously it makes the judge's decision very hard, or a lot harder, I should say. And we see a pair of Dazenkops at the top. Very nice, very attractive sheep. Perhaps you should call them the Balwin of the Beltex breed or Texel breed, and that's what they're basically known as. The Badger, I should say, Texels then. This is Sarah Gibbon there, showing this pair. Been a dangerous competitor for a very long time here in the show, and has won many accolades with Beltex Texel and now with Blue Texel. So they moved into the Dazenkops, and they have an exceptional good pair there to start the show. And as I alluded to before, all second prize lambs are all in reserve position in case their prospective breed goes forward. They will step up.
Pawb I fwyta be maen nhw am, ond cadw'r amrwyeth yn dy fe. Iawn, ni'n gweld Paul Slater fan hyn nawr, y beirniad. A nawr mae Paul.
You see there then the traditional Texels, and then the Dutch Texels by the side.
Hanner o harddod bob blwyddyn, a mae'n cynnal rhyw sel arbennig I hunan. Mae fe'n fridiwr o fri.
Mr. Windsor, AJ Windsor, and standing in the lineup there at the moment. And in Halls, we've seen a lot of the Hall family from Carlisle there, standing in the second line, and the Blue Texels from Chris Davis. And a pair of Beltex lambs from Hall family again.
Ni'n meddwl bod chi wedi mynd I ryw fir arall Ofn y cwestiwn dwi'n meddwl oedd fe.
Mae ofon yn air ein ben ar y bloc.
Mr. Slater taking his time.
Chi'n mynd I ddatgelu pain? Na.
Ond mwy na thebyg fydd ein anghywir.
I think we'll come back a little bit later on and see what Mr. Slater has decided of his pure continental champion.
Fydden ni nôl I weld pwy fydd ar y brig yn hwyrach mlaen.
Well, don't forget all the information you need from the Winter Fair this year is available on our website, and the address is on the screen now, s4c.cymru/Ffair Iaf.
Well,
right, we return to the cattle ring, and here's Gerald once again.
Yes, we are back in the first class of the steer section.
Cemlyn Roberts
Yeah.
And all the steer section then will be under the same umbrella as the heifers, under 425 kilos.
David Lewis yn Llydan ac efo'r pŵer.
See a winner there now.
Ddim cweit mor Llydan, ond yn gywir iawn.
Falle bod yn teimlo, falle fydde heifer Dafydd chydig bach rhy drwm falle haf nes a pwy a wyr edrych ymlaen.
I apologise, it's still in the heifer section, section 3 actually. It's the winner is 177. Mr. Kemlyn Roberts with Lady Gaga, weighing 355 kilos.
Mae'r lliw dipyn bach o wyn yn ni.
Chydig bach o froc arni ar ei bola.
Dipyn bach o froc yn ni.
Standing in second position is Mr. David Lewis's heifer, Black Beauty.
Yn y dosbarthiadau beef ifanc. Yn union. Felly, na, da iawn wir, llongfarchiadau I Cemlyn a'r teulu y Garden Goch yn mynd I Ynys Môn. A mae'n dod ato ni fan hyn nawr am sgwrs fach. Wel, Cemlyn,
not quite as excessively muscled perhaps as a lot of other heifers, but Lady Gaga is Mr. Brute's choice. And we will see her in the overall championship of the heifers later on. She'll be competing, as we've already seen a couple of winners go by. We'll fetch all the continental heifers in, and then the native breed heifer will come in later on to arrive at champion heifer in the baby beef section. So we'll have to wait and see that later on.
Well, we've had heifers named after female singers coming to the fore, Lady Gaga and Shakira. We'll return to the cattle ring later on. In the meantime, it's back to the carcass hall, and this is the pairs. Now then, judging one single carcass, Gerald, you know, you can compare and contrast, but with a pair, then the two carcasses put forward have to look similar to each other. Is that what a judge is looking for?
Yes, obviously a pair is a pair, and this is where the true good shepherds come into their own in terms of being able to assess this pair of lambs alive. And now the proof is in the pudding, is there in front of you as a pair of them both hanging up. And I think it's a classic example just over Aaron's head there then, that they were selected as a pair, and we can see the one on the right is quite a bit more excessive muscle than the one on the left, but the actual champion pair do look to me an exceptional good identical pair of lambs. Obviously it will not be selected on just matching pair. They will still have to be selected on what the judge requires as a good carcass to be able to sell. And the pair there look maybe not as excessive as I alluded to as the pair on the right, but they're very, very correct and identical. Just around by the fat cover, as we alluded to before, all classifications now in confirmation is EU RO, but in the fat classification, a 1 would be lean, a 2 would be slightly better, but most of the requirements today is called a 3L, and I would probably hazard a guess that is a 3L, and then we go to 3H, would be a little bit fatter, and then we go to 4L, which would be a little bit fatter again. 4H would be classed as being too fat, and a 5 would be extremely fat.
And of course, Aaron, just referring to the fact there that later this morning there'll be an auction, and these carcasses of a high standard could well end up in some of the most prestigious restaurants, not only in Wales but anywhere in Britain as well. We'll be back in the carcass hall for the auction.
Cofiwch fod na sylwebaeth Saesneg efo Gareth Roberts a'r tîm. English language commentary is available by pressing the red button on Sky Plus, Freeview or Virgin Media. If you have a TiVo box or a Sky Q box, use the audio selection option. Any problems, please contact S4C's viewers hotline. Mae'r sylwebaeth Saesneg hefyd ar gael ar yn gwedd-arllediad byd eang, felly cofiwch ddeud wrth bawb.
Mr. Martin Robert Davis.
Let's return now to the horse ring, and here's Rob Jones once again.
Yn y ffair, ia. Beirniad adran y cyffyle chwaraeon ac y dosbarth i'r ebolesu ebolion neu arddull blwydd sydd dan sylw ni yn fan hyn ac yn gwylio'r dosbarthiadau I gyd efo fi mae Dorian Lloyd o Brydfa Perthog. A Dorian, Mae'r beina wedi cael cyfle i weld bob un ohonyn nhw wedi gweld nhw'n unigol a dyn ni jyst yn dod i derfyn y dosbarth.
Yndyn, mae o newid cerdded lawr fan yr holl rhestr i'r un ola sydd gennym fo. Ei cael jyst ail golwg manwl arno nhw gyd yn sefyll efo'i gilydd a peth da am hyn. Nhw ti'n gallu jyst falle cymaru un efo'r llall sydd jyst yn sefyll wrth i ymyl o. Yn lle gweld nhw'n unigolion nhw, ti'n gallu gweld nhw gyd efo'i gilydd mewn rhestr wan a dyn mae o wedi cael golau o'na fo.
Wel, mae'r hat wedi diosg ac Abermennau Lady Million.
It looks like
Abel,
the hat has come off. Does that mean
the
decision is made? I would assume so. H12 currently standing top. I believe intended to keep that top spot. She's looking terribly happy.
I think
we're just waiting for rosettes, and here they come indeed, yeah. Abermennau Lady Million, as I said, a Hanoverian sire, out of a cob, a Welsh cob mare. Not an animal that's had a lot of mileage in the show ring, and that, to my mind, personally, is a very good thing. There is, or historically has been, a little bit of concern as we approach Christmas on the length of some of these show animals' season, but Abermennau Lady Million, not a huge amount of form. But clearly, Martin Davis's choice here as winner of the yearling Colt Filio Gelding sport horse class. Let's see what she has to say, the owner.
Oedd yn y Welsh Partbred ddoe, be gafodd ail ddoe, so ddim bad yn cael 2 diwrnod da fno.
Wel, chwarae teg, ail ddoe, cynta heddiw, ac ymlaen i'r bencampwriaeth?
Ie, definitely, ie. Yn sicr, ie, definitely.
Ydy mam yma rhywle?
Ydy, mae mam yma fe'n crio, ma siwr. Un da ni di magu di hon, mae bod rhwng bach clod da.
Yeah, pretty much reinforcing the breeding that we've discussed already. It'll mention that she's from, of course, Llanfair Pwll Gwyngyll, up in North Wales there. Not too far a journey to stand the winner of this second class in the sport horse breeding section under our judge Martin Davis. Abermennau Lady Million, who will now trot forward into the championship for this section that is to follow.
Noddir y rhaglen hon gan Coleg Glyn Llifon, rhan o grŵp Llandrillo Menai. Noddir y rhaglen hon gan Coleg Glyn Llifon, rhan o grŵp Sandriso Menai.
Welcome back to the Royal Welsh Showground on the second day of this year's Winter Fair. And as you can see, there's quite a few people who have already come to visit the showground already. The food hall is filling up, and we will be visiting the food hall quite shortly. And of course, due to the COVID restrictions, there is a one-way system within the food hall this year. As I say, we'll return to the food hall later on. In the meantime, let's go back to the sheep ring and join Gerald.
And we're back in the sheep ring to see if Mr. Slater has arrived at his decision for the pure continental champion.
Mae hwnnw'n amal iawn yw'r peth allweddol o ran faint o gig sy'n y llefydd iawn.
Ydy, hwnna sy'n bwysig. Achos maen nhw'n edrych.
We've spent most of our time looking at the back ends of the lambs, which say perhaps is the business end, but it's nice to see the front end. And the judge, Mr. Slater, will have been judging the width in their front legs and conformation right throughout. And obviously these are live animals, so they will look how smart they are and how well turned out they are. And these shepherds do an exceptional good job at that, I can assure you.
Mae'n feirniad profiadol yn dweud Paul Slater o Addington. Mae fe'n cynnyrchu rhyw gant.
So Mr. Slater obviously breeds a lot of continental rams for terminal sires in breed, so he's therefore made his selection forward now in number 505. Which is the pair of Dutch Texels from the Hall family. And we featured a lot of them yesterday in success all the way through their classes. So the second prize Dutch Texel pair will come forward. Because you can have champion and reserve champion from the same breed.
Dipyn o beth, chwod.
Bydd hi'n ddiddorol, pwy sy'n mynd I fynd ar gil wobr?
Dutch Texel would be just a fraction smaller, perhaps, than the traditional British traditional Texel lamb, so...
O, mae fe nôl ymlaen. Mae di licor Idina yn dweud gyda...
See the second prize there of Mr. Howell Williams from Dyson has come forward.
Chris, yma? Na. O, mae'n twyllo ni. Mae'n cadw ni ar flaen yn rhan.
Mr. Slater seems to be keeping him in suspense anyway. And
mae'n gwybod beth mae'n neud.
his familiar walk forward, I'm sure that the Blue Texel people thought that they were in business, but he's moved on again now to the Beltex.
Mae'n ddrama.
A gan fod wedi bod yn y cylch digon hynna, mae'n gwybod sut I gael y drama yma fe hefyd.
O, dwi'n credu bod fe'n chwarae'r gynulleidfa.
As you can see that he's featuring a lot of the back ends and on the loin and rib area, because as we've seen the carcasses, that is where a lot of the meat is, and he's trying to assess. Oh, he's gone for the Blue Texels to come in reserve. Texel.
Ond yr enillwyr fan hyn heddi yw Hall. Teulu'r Hall o Ganwyn. Congratulations. Thank you very much. What an amazing...
Chris Davis. This pair again at 92 kilos. So he's remained pretty consistent on his weight of the lambs and what he required. So obviously we will see the Hall family coming through later on, and if they to be successful, then we will see Chris Davis then following up as reserve in the section. So we'll have to wait a little bit more to find out the champion of the show.
Sweating.
Yeah, a little bit.
You worked hard.
Oh, yeah.
And it paid off.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Aye, the Hall family from Carlisle picking up where they left off yesterday with even more success in the sheep ring. Let's go straight back to the horse ring and rejoin Rob.
Thanks, Gareth. Indeed, yeah. Martin Davies, our judge, being quite efficient and has whizzed through the first two classes in the section, the sport horse breeding section, the foal class and the yearling class. That is the section at the Winter Fair here at Bilf. And trotting in front of us there, I believe, was the winner of the foal class. Dollars Showgirl for Margaret Jones from Welshpool by Classic Opera out of Tria Green. As I mentioned earlier, the sport horse is not a breed, it's a type, and always a fair influx of overseas bloodlines in these animals. Second place, foal, Hannah Buttarelli's Booth Night Fever. A bay, bred by the exhibitor, sired by Hatterall Las Vegas out of a dam called Rosebud. And here we have the winner of the yearling class, Glenys Owens Abermenai Lady Million. This is a Hanoverian sire out of a pure Welsh cob mare. Not travelled far, like the previous winner from Llanfair Pwllgwyngyll, again in North Wales. Second placed yearling sport horse winner, Willow's Way, my apologies, Love Affair, the Skewbald, by Freckleton Royal Affair out of Lady Boudicea. Martin Davies, our judge here, well versed and entirely capable of a decision here, but between these two winners, not an easy one, I would say. Martin very much a limb man, very, very much favouring the most correct of limb, particularly the forelimb that he has said to me many times, being the friend that he is, are so often overlooked.
Well, mae pob un yn gleud ni fewn.
And so indeed, my comment earlier about the natural place of a lot of overseas continental bloodlines, the warm blood, the Hanoverian, the Dutch, all of these sort of bloodlines that are effectively bred purely for sport. Very, very strong in our section here at the Winter Fair. Winner of the yearling there, as mentioned, a Hanoverian Cross Welsh cob. A good endorsement for the Welsh cobs, obviously, being the Royal Welsh Winter Fair. Our Welsh breeds, certainly there's the Welsh cob. Very much a rival for some of these continental bloodlines, and quite often add to the equation a lot of strength and stamina and soundness as well, which is critical in the breeding of these sort of sports ponies, sports horses. Martin, having a final look at Glenys Owens Abermenai Lady Million. And we'll have a side look at the winner of the foal class, Dollars Showgirl, and it looks as if he's made his decision. Martin, a very capable judge, as I mentioned, judged all over the world, Australia, Toronto Winter Fair. And now, of course, the Winter Fair, and it looks as if the championship is indeed going to Mrs. Owens Abermenai Lady Million, the winner of the yearling class, and in reserve, a foal class winner, and that's Margaret Jones's Dollar Showgirl. Two animals very much a pattern bred for sport, 100%, I would agree with that, having seen most of the judging. I could certainly vouch for the fact that these two are true and deserving winners, I have to say, and beautifully presented on the day as well. A horse of this blood and pattern, not easy to produce, but many congratulations there. Winner of the colt, filly or foal class, Dollars Showgirl, but the eventual champion, Glenys Owens Abermenai Lady Million.
Owen and Margaret Jones.
Champion here. Oh, let's see what she has to say on the championship. Speaking Welsh, clearly coming from Llanfair Pwllgwyngyll there. She'll be well relieved that class is over, and particularly with the success that she's had there. So many congratulations once again. The champion of the sport horse breeding section here at the Winter Fair, under our judge Martin Davies, Chaseford stud, Abermenai Lady Million, a Hanoverian cross Welsh cob mare. Very fitting that there should be a little bit of Welsh in the champion of the sport horse breeding section.
Gwerthfawrogi ac yn dangos cymeradwyaeth pob chwarae teg I Lowry.
Wel, dyma nhw'n cael eu tynnu fewn i'w llinell a...
Right, once again, we're back in the cattle ring, and here's Gerald Lewis.
We are back in 27.4, so we go up slight weight of the Baby Show Continental heifer under 425 kilos, and we get up now to the 374 to 388 kilo heifers. So the strength has increased quite a bit. Again, we have mostly limousine cross heifers, reds and blacks. As I alluded to before, Mr. Dybroot here has only 4 heifers to allude on, supervise, sorry, so it would be far easier to judge a class of this size rather than 10 or 12 heifers in the ring, so you can hold them all very, very close together and compare side by side. And standing on top at the moment there is another local man down the road here, the son of the local man in Phil Jones T-shirt, Irwood, number 165 with the red heifer.
Mae just eisiau gwneud yn siŵr, mae mynd nôl ymlaen, ond...
Mr. Brute has made his decision, and it is Phil Jones down the road here in Irwood. We've seen his brother Robert earlier on being successful, so we will see this heifer later on in the class as well.
Arbennig iawn, a llongfarchiadau i'r teulu Jones.
Noddir y rhaglen hon gan Coleg Glyn Llifon, rhan o grŵp Llandrillo Menai. Noddir y rhaglen hon gan Coleg Glyn Llifon, rhan o grŵp Sandriso Menai.
Welcome back to the showground at Llanelwedd, and of course one of the most popular venues at the Winter Fair, as it's also a popular venue in the summer show as well as the food hall. And in years gone by, we've obviously seen Nia wandering around the food hall from stall to stall, but of course that isn't possible this year due to the COVID restrictions. And as you can see, Nia's located in her own little Christmas little cabin above the food hall, which we can see in the background. And she's joined by Ellen Jones, who runs the Canna Deli in Cardiff, and also from Anglesey originally, and produces the cheese Caws Rhyd y Delyn. It's a family business. And she's just referring to the fact that the new one-way system in the food hall has been very effective, and they're obviously making sure that there aren't too many people within the hall. And there's Menai Jones there, that's Ellen's mother, serving the customers. And the Caws Rhyd y Delyn has been very popular over the years, and this is the first time that they've actually visited the Winter Fair. And obviously, as Nia has mentioned, they do have a new cheese at this Winter Fair, a new Gouda cheese and a new blue cheese, which is what we're seeing there now, the Morn Las Anglesey Blue. And Ellen's just explaining the reason why they've only appeared here at the Winter Fair on one occasion in the past is because her mother was a teacher, so they didn't have the time to come here and visit. Now these cheeses are available in the delicatessen and the cafe that Ellen owns in Cardiff called Canna Deli. This is the blue cheese that Nia is trying at the moment. It's very creamy. It's not too strong. A lot of people, of course, who aren't used to eating blue cheese think that it's going to be a bit on the strong side. But that's not the case with this particular cheese.
So, semi-soft cheese.
It's like a semi-soft cheese. It's not as crumbly as a Stilton, as it were. Nia's just asking, obviously you have to do a lot of research into the market to see what kind of cheese is popular, what kind of cheese people like to eat. And moving on to the Gouda. It's a different style of cheese, obviously milder cheese. It's not quite like cheddar, it's a bit it's more it's similar, of course, to the kind of cheese you'd find the kind of Dutch cheese that's available on the market.
A wedyn mae gen ti gwmni y siop Canna Deli yng Nghaerdydd, a dyma ni'n dŵad rŵan at yr hamper.
Now then, referring to the hamper that's in front of Ellen there, she sells an awful lot of hampers of this nature in her shop in the Canna Deli in Cardiff, and the glory of coming to somewhere like the food hall here at the Winter Fair is that she has the opportunity to walk around the stalls and meet different food producers, and there's an element there, of course, of working hand in hand with other companies and creating a hamper that's full of produce from Wales. And Nia's just referring to the fact that her brother and her mother are working full speed in the stall, so Ellen will probably have to return there once this interview is terminated. And once again, Ellen is emphasising the fact that they're trying to control the numbers within the food hall, and the fact that there is a one-way system give the customers more of an opportunity, perhaps, to ask more about the produce that they can see on the different stalls. Yes, Nia's just referring to the fact that Elin will have to return to the stall to join her family members and sell some more cheese in the food hall. We'll be there again shortly, but in the meantime it's back to the sheep ring and we'll rejoin Gerald.
Mae'r arddangoswyr yma'n gwneud o flwyddyn I flwyddyn yn arddangos. A dyma y math o fridiau ni'n gweld yn bennaf. Yn un marchnadod ni o ddydd I ddydd hefyd yn dyfe, y croes fridiau.
Rhain fydd yr fridiau mwy ar lawr gwlad I ni'n gweld o ddydd I ddydd, fel I chi wedi cyfeirio, Mynir, ond...
Back in the sheep section
pyr yn hanfodol.
With
trwch y boblogaeth yw'r
a
fridiau
pair of continental ram and Welsh mountain speckled-faced lamb, so it is a crossbred section.
5 par yn y cylch ar hyn o bryd, a 5 o Gymru.
Championship.
O, mae hwnna'n ddiddorol.
Mae hwnna'n ddiddorol iawn, ydw e?
Odi. So mae hwnna'n adlewyrchu'r...
Well, this is quite a mixed.
Mae'n gweud tipyn, ydw e? Mae rhain yn...
Lot of different types of lambs, and there you go.
O, wel, arbennig o
Meinir Howells yn llygad I lle.
O, sa'n gwybod, so hwnna'n digwydd yn ymlaen iawn, illa weithio chi.
When I ddim yn rhoi ben ar bloc, mae'n amlwg, mae'r arbennig o'r yn rhoi ben ar y bloc. Hyfryd.
Llongwerchiadau mor iawn I fferm y croffte Aberhonddu. A maen nhw yn dal ar llygad, yn dyn nhw.
Mae'r lliw'n arbennig, ond nhw
Ydyn.
Mae rhywbeth gwahanol.
A maen nhw wel yn llydan, a mae'r marciau'n debyg.
We see a very attractive pair of nice crossbred lambs there, and I would suggest there is a bit of Dass and Cop in there.
Ydy, mae'r pethau bach.
We've seen a pair of purebred lambs with Sarah Gibbons before, and these are exceptional nice lambs.
Wel, diolch o galon I chi Carwyn am eich sgwrs. A llongyfarchiadau chi hefyd yn cael yn gwneud yn gymrawd y gymdeithas, ond rydyd enfawr I chi, mae'n siŵr.
J.A. Evans.
A I nawr I gael sgwrs gyda'r teulu.
Weighing 19.5 kilos. Combined weight, so that's just over 45 kilos each.
Congratulations. Thank you. They are quite unique, aren't they? Tell me, what are they?
They are blue Texel, cross Torway and Badgerface, Welsh Mountain.
That's one big cross, isn't it?
Yes.
But I'm sure they'll be very popular in the sale ring later on as well.
Well, these don't do a gun in the sale ring. These do going home, hopefully.
They're not been sold?
No.
Well, congratulations to you, and enjoy the rest of the fair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wel, mae'r foment fawr yn agosau. Mae yna ddrama, mae yna densiwn yma.
Right, we'll move quickly from the sheep ring back into the cattle ring and into the champion heifer in the baby beef.
Yes, we've seen 5 different classes of continental heifers. So the section split into 5 different sections, and they have the 5 first prize winners of their respective weights and sections coming forward. Now we're looking at this is Miss Wendy Morgan then from McQueen and Llandyson with her winner, which we featured earlier on, and Rob Jones Argoid coming around there just on the road in Built with the 2 heifers. Actually, the only 2 black heifers that are in this particular class, but I don't think that would have a bearing on colour in Mr. Brute's eyes. 3 very nice red and red roan heifers as well. And I believe Mr. Jones there won the very first section, which would be probably is obviously the lightest heifer at 246, and then Wendy's heifer there, and by the side it'll be 332 kilos. It'll be 100 kilos difference now, so this is why maybe they split the classes originally to make, like I stated, Mr. Brute's job a little bit easier. And now this is all that matters, who can come forward and win the Supreme Champion Baby Beef Heifer. And then obviously the winner of this section will go and compete against the native breed winner in the Baby Beef section, and then the winner Champion Heifer then will go and compete against the overall steer champion to become Baby Beef Champion of 2021 Winter Fair. A lot of these animals will be put up for sale, so we will witness that later on in the day. They are sold after the mature or adult cattle in the prime stock first sales, and then these will be sold after. So if some of the people selling their larger animals and going forward, maybe be looking to reinvest and buy a future star for themselves to go showing next year. Maybe some of the competitors will decide to keep them themselves and show themselves next year, but majority of these animals will be for sale.
Dwi'n cytuno 'da ti. Ydy, mae dau brwt yn edrych unwaith yn rhagor. Just yn gwneud yn siŵr fod yn hapus efo'i benderfyniad. Rob Jones yn gwneud i o'r glas.
Mr. Brute.
Mae'n gwrthod.
Putting a lot of thought.
Ond dwi'n meddwl bod yn hapus. Ond mae wedi roed I fawr
wedi roed, ynddi. Yn aml iawn mae rhywbeth.
Paramount that these young animals that do walk correctly and conduct themselves correctly around the rings, because if they can't walk when they're youngsters, they certainly won't walk when they get older and a lot heavier with a lot more meat on, obviously. So it's the structure of the animal and locomotion which is going to carry them forward, and in the summer shows it's essential because all summer shows will be shown outside and on various small shows throughout the area of Wales and across in the border into England. A lot of them do. And we have the major show here in the Royal Welsh Show. Everybody wants to come back and win that one in the summer period.
Pwy sy'n mynd I fynd â hi? Le mae'r pencampwriaeth yma mynd? Oedd pawb yn meddwl bod y penderfyniad wedi wneud, ond na, dim eto.
A bod yn berffaith deg, eder o fynd i'r un o'r ddwy.
Gerald, from a horseman's point of view, I see a lot of good production going on in these cattle. It's all important in the horses, obviously, but a few tricks here. I can understand maybe clipping the tail there to show up the size, confirmation of the back end. What's the purpose of clipping the back of the animal?
Top line and bottom line are essential elements of an attractive animal, as we can see. Both of these young animals there would like to think that you could put a cup of tea on the back and it wouldn't spill in that dead level, and that is paramount. And then of course it shows the excessive back ends of the animals, and we can see now what has become more evident in later breeding now then is the shoulder. And there's a lot of width in the shoulder of these animals. Oh, there you go, he's made his decision, and champion heifer is Miss Wendy Morgan. And as I just alluded to, actually, this particular heifer, I've seen this heifer, she is exceptionally good across her shoulder, and the width of the carcass, as you can imagine, when the carcass is hanging up, there is a lot of meat there, and the loin is continued right throughout to the shoulder. So there's, as we all know, piece of loin steak is exceptionally nice and expensive.
Well, dyna ni felly.
So obviously we'll come back later on and see Wendy now will compete for the champion heifer baby beef, and if she's successful there, she will be against the champion baby steer.
Noddir y rhaglen hon gan Coleg Glyn Llifon, rhan o grŵp Llandrillo Menai. Noddir y rhaglen hon gan Coleg Glyn Llifon, rhan o grŵp Llandrillo Menai.
Welcome back to the Royal Welsh Showground. Of course, we're looking forward later on in the day to see all the Supreme Championships. But in the meantime, we'll return to the horse ring and we'll join Rob Jones.
Thanks, Gareth. Yeah, back to the horse ring. And the Welsh ponies, the Cob type, the Section C. The first of the pure Welsh breeds today at the Winter Fair. And our judge here, a very interesting man, John Welsh, Newgap stud from Dolgellau up in mid-North Wales. John, a very experienced Welsh Section C breeder, but it's worth mentioning, of course, that he's equally experienced in breeding and sort of handling Arabs, and I think probably his claim to fame was a period where he worked for Charlie and Shirley Watts. Charlie Watts, of course, of the Rolling Stones. Big breeders, he and his wife, of Arab horses, and so John, our judge here, John Welsh, Newgap stud, was their stud manager for a while. I'm sure he saw and heard a lot of interesting stuff in that time, but effectively also producing some absolutely lovely Arabs. But it's the Section C that is his interest today. I think he's had Arabs and Cs for an equal length of time, from around 1979, I believe. And while he still carries on with the Cs, there are no Arabs in the frame anymore, because Mr. Welsh is busy as a hotelier, effectively, these days, running the Royal Ship Hotel up in Dolgellau there. Other hostelries are available, but I hear it's a very good one, should you be passing Dolgellau. And so here he is, assessing the first of 4 classes in the section of the Section Cs. As is the format here at the Royal Welsh, we'll have the colt foal class in front of us now, followed by a filly or gelding class and 2 yearling classes as well.
Well, John Welsh wedi bod yn cadw adrynec ac ceffylau Arab ers 1979, ond dim erbyn hyn Arabs gyda fo, ond
it's a very concentrated face there for our judge in the Section Cs. 27 colt foals entered this year. It would appear we've lost a few in translation between entries and actually coming forward on the day. The Winter Fair is obviously very late in the year. Quite difficult at the point of entry to guarantee that these animals will be looking right, which they must be for this level of competition.
Very interesting.
And we see in front of us there, Walters and Sons, Tredig, Captain Francisco. John, our judge, John Welsh, Newgap stud, definitely looking for a pony type of Section C rather than perhaps the more cobby or derogatory term, the more horsey kind of Section C. He's always very clear in that he is looking for something that is perhaps nearer the Section A in its breeding, has a little bit of sweetness and character around it, but he's also very clear that he's looking for a Welsh Section C that has natural substance. A good example in front of us there. Mrs. Edward is Pant a Rod, Simply Red.
Dyma'r ebolion yn yr adran ec y Merwyr Cymreig Teip Cob, a beirniad John Welsh sydd ar fraint.
And we leave the colt foal classes and be back to see his decisions shortly.
Ydy, mae'n braf fod y cystadlu ma'n digwydd, da ni'n llawen.
Yes, we will be returning to the horse ring quite soon. Well, it's great to be back here at the showground, albeit under the restrictions that have been enforced upon us due to the COVID situation, and the Welsh Prime Minister, Mark Drakeford, is holding a press conference lunchtime today, and you can follow that on S4C's Facebook at 12, 12:15. In the meantime, we'll rejoin Nia, who's in her cabin above the food hall. She's with Daniel Ap Dafydd, who runs the family business based in Llanrwst called Blas ar Fwyd, and it's their first visit to the Winter Fair, despite the fact that the company was established back in 1988, and they sell a variety of Welsh produce in their shop, and they've decided that it's a great opportunity to come to the Winter Fair to show the produce that they have on sale in the shop in Llanrwst. And obviously what's been great as far as Daniel's concerned is the fact that they've been able to meet new customers here. They're aware possibly of the brand Blas ar Fwyd, but perhaps haven't been to visit the shop in Llanrwst. So it's they also distribute all these produces to various locations in Wales. And as we can see, that's the stall that they have here in the food hall. And obviously with Christmas on the horizon, they've got mince pies and Christmas puddings and chutneys, and they've won quite a few awards with their produce, with the Great Taste Awards being presented to them. And the Christmas pudding, the Christmas cake, as you can see there, the traditional Christmas cake from Carmarthenshire. And the Christmas pudding, by the way, is made with a recipe of his grandmother's recipe, who came from Carmarthenshire originally. And as far as the Christmas cake is concerned, it's a traditional Christmas cake, and his wife is responsible for the packaging, and Nia obviously has been. She's just explaining now that I think she's trying to say that the cake is quite moist, but obviously she's reluctant to use that word for some reason or other. As you can see also, there's various sauces, cranberry sauce, there's marmalade there as well. And there's a variety of produce that they do have on their stall here at the Winter Fair.
Ond oes 'na broblemau leni yng nghyd-destun cynhyrchu y saws?
Now then, she's just asking if there's any problems as far as producing the cranberry sauces, and there aren't that many fruits available apparently, according to Daniel, but there's about 70% of fruit within these jars, so that's an awful lot of fruit that's required to produce the cranberry sauce, for example. And Daniel's just referring to the fact that the shop has been open during the lockdown period, not so much as far as customers visiting the shop is concerned, but actually sending packages to every corner of Wales.
Busnes, wrth gwrs, oedd yr arlwywyr I gyd wedi mynd allan o busnes ar yr amser yna. Felly, nath ni gael i'w mis hynod o bregus yn y cychwyn. Ac wedyn yn sydyn reit, oedd ni'n gweld siopa drwy Gymru. Dydyn ni siop mewn canolfan garddio, lle oedd bobl yn teimlo saff I fynd. Yn sydyn reit yn teg
when things started to open up, they were selling a lot of their produce in garden centres, places where the public felt safe to visit. And they were also looking, of course, for Welsh produce.
Dim twristiaid ydy hynny, ond bobl Cymru yn ei prynu nhw a dyn gwerthfawrogi hynny fawr.
It's local people who were buying the produce, not so much tourists, of course, who couldn't travel to Wales at the time.
Falla, ond cadw a cynnal y peth i'r dyfodol ydy'r gamp rwan ynde.
Wel, mae fe'n lle da I fod yn gwneud hynny'n sicr, Daniel. Diolch am ymuno efo ni, ac mae'r gacen yn dda, a dwi'n edrych ymlaen at blasu'r gweddill hefyd. I gylch y defaid, da ni.
There we are, Daniel Ap Dafydd from Blas ar Fwyd in Llanrwst. Right, let's go back to the sheep ring, and here's Gerald again.
Oh, and welcome back to the sheep ring, where the pace is hotting up slightly, then getting closer to the overall championship. And we are now in the butcher's weight section. I mean, many times before we've seen the champion of the butchers, overall champion of the show has come out of the butchers' weights, because the butchers' weights are of mostly crossbred, a little bit like the commercial cattle section, a lot of crossbred breeding, and produces just that little bit different type of lamb. And we can see that the Beltex and Texel influence is quite strong in this particular section. As I stated, all the classes and sections have their first prize winner up in front, and then the second prize is waiting in the wings, as we might say, to come forward. Some tremendous confirmation, and turned out lambs are outstanding and on display.
Wel, ydych chi weid mawr. Pam ti'n gweud hynny de?
Wel, mae'r safon yn yr adran yma.
Mr. Slade, as I've alluded to many times, is breeding of continental rams, so he'll have a lot of ewes at home that would be of exceptional well-bred and of the extreme type, exactly the same as what is on display here. So maybe he'll have a little bit in his mind. He might produce a champion pair of ewe lambs and take them back home with him to breed future rams off. But we'll see what happens. And I wouldn't think that would have any bearing. It'll be what he's judging under his hand there, and the best carcass lambs, best quality lambs is what he would like to select. A pair of lambs there, not quite trimmed as hard as perhaps that pair of lambs there. Then a tremendous quality class for him to adjudicate over. A lovely pair of lambs there in front of us. They're from Mr. Robert West, Lincolnshire, with exceptional masculine hindquarters on that pair.
Achos maen nhw'n lleihau'r pris, yn dyfa?
Dyna'r gofyn. Y gofyn yw, o'n 2 kilo ar ugain, E2, E3L os gallu di, a na'r o'n perffaith.
Mr. Slade has to put his hand on every single animal all the way right throughout all these sections and to arrive at the correct decision. And this would be very, very difficult because we are looking probably at slight little things within his mind. He would favour perhaps one pair over the other, perhaps a little bit less meat on the ribs and on some and that. But anyway, we will have to come back later on and hopefully Mr. Slade will have arrived at his decision.
Chydig bach o hoed ar ewgylch y defer, ond dda'n nôl I weld un o'r 3 par yma fydd yn fuddigol yn hwyrach blaen. Gawn I weld, Erwin?
Gawn I weld.
Well, we're getting ever closer to the Supreme Championships, which will be happening here at the Winter Fair later this afternoon. In the meantime, it's back to the horse ring and back to Rob Jones.
Thanks, Gareth. Indeed, yeah, we're back to join the tail end of the colt foal class here in the Welsh section C. This is a very strong class, 27 entries, and our judge, John Welsh of the Newgap stud, has actually seen them all, initially placed them. I won't spoil the surprise there, but is actually sending the first few out to have a look at them walking and side on again. So a bit of a tense moment for many. Currently placed first, not the end placing, obviously, is 1047. We see in front of us here Popster's Duke of Gloucester, owned by Richard Pittman.
Popster's Duke of Gloucester, Teddy Romeo.
1038, currently placed second, not the final placing, of course. Teddy Romeo for Miss Kay Jones.
Today, Captain Francisco.
But headshot of the winner here. Hopefully the winner. Certainly a favourite of mine. Some quiet direction from our judge on the left there to a steward.
Shane Rogers wedi dod fyny o'r
a few have moved around in this, what I believe will be his second placing, his last placing of this class, the colt foal class.
Gareth Holt a Ceffyl Panther o Rod wedi
Richard Pittman sydd yn sefyll ar ben y llinell yma gyda'r Ebo Popster's Duke of Gloucester.
This has certainly been a strong class in that I think Mr. John Welsh at Newgap Stud is very clear in what he wants. He wants a pony type of C and one with lots of substance, natural substance as well, not just fed and fat. But it seems as if he has made his decision, and the winner of the colt foal class here in the Section C's at the Winter Fair is Richard Pitman's Popsters at Duke of Gloucester. Bred by Justin Davis and Heidi Bennett, of course, of the Popsters stud. Wow. Sired by Starland's Evil and out of a mare called Parvadine's Saving Grace. Sired by Starland's Evil. Very popular stallion for Kerry Fell of the Bryn Sion stud. Kerry, I know, is in Barbados. Kerry, I hope you're warm and I hope you're clapping, but let's hear what Richard has to say.
A very good win. It's after a year not being here, it's good to be back, and yeah, what a start.
And this is the colt you bought to have a little bit of fun with?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to persuade Justin and Heidi of the Popsters stud to part with him, so yeah, good purchase up to now.
You've been out a little bit showing already?
Yeah, we did one show as a pre-run out and was champion and supreme there, so yeah, good start to his little career.
Oh, good. Well, I'm quite impressed. The pony's almost as well turned out as you.
Good brill cream.
Good brill cream. Richard.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
There we are, little word Richard Pitman, owner of the winner of the colt foal in the Section C's, Popsters Duke of Gloucester. Many congratulations, and of course he's the winner of the first of 4 classes in the Section C's, and we'll be back soon.
Right, back to the cattle ring, and it's our first look at the baby steers, Gerald.
Yes, indeed, and the same procedure in this. Then they split the entries into different sections, and starting with the smaller end, and the lightest little steer in this class is 287 kilos, and the heaviest is 342. So Mr. Brute has completed his heifer section, is now on to procedure. He will select the winner out of every section here. We'll go then forward to be champion baby steer, and as then we'll compete against the champion heifer. Limousine appears to dominate the terminal sire on all these animals, with most of them being black or red. We come up with some lovely names again for all these with the people in Cardi Cork, Red Robin, Boris, Bob, Bad Habit and Tyson Fury. I hope Tyson Fury behaves us all, isn't he?
Yeah, ori, Clasbach David in ori Olwerin. Rai arbennig o dda yn siwto'r beirniad yn ni'n meddwl y dau brwt man hyn.
All these a lot of young handlers there handling these cattle, hoping that this is to be their start to their showing career.
And
I can see Carol Nanquina there, in shot behind David Brute, whose mother earlier on was successful in winning champion heifer. So will we see mum and daughter competing against one another in the steering heifer championship later on? We'll have to wait and see. They've got to get by Mr. Brute first. Nice exceptional quality cattle, to be fair, on display.
Rhai ochr eber ystwyth, mae rhai wedi newyddo'n lleol hefyd yn y dosbarth yma.
Yeah, well, sorry,
as I alluded to before, they have to walk correctly, and Mr. Brute will have taken that into consideration when they've been walking around the ring before he gets them to line up and as a hands-on approach and try and feel that their animal is very correct. And then usually then, as we've seen, if he's a little bit in doubt or whatever, he reverts back to the walk-in again, and very often that will trigger the first or second or respective position, whatever he puts them in. But they are, like I say, got to conduct themselves correctly and walk, because they will be in a halter for a long time and need to show themselves off to the best of their ability.
Ond mae'n fraint yn dwi. Mae'n anrhydedd mawr.
Very nice shaped cattle. They say meat in the correct places is what you'll be looking for. As alluded to before, good top line and good bottom line.
A wedyn drws nesa iddi hi Eidon.
It's very important too that they are show animals, and then even though it's no valuable part of the actual animal, but if an animal has a pretty head and a small neat head and holds his head correctly up, it does make that show animal and makes that look attractive in the start. And I'm sure when animals are walking around in their respective rings, whether summer, winter or whatever shows, a lot of judges like to see that rather than a great big old ugly head and maybe hanging it slightly. So it is part and parcel of it, even though it's not part and parcel of the future animal. So we'll have to come back in a while and see which Mr. Brute has selected on his first class of baby steers. But I'm sure we'll be back in a while to see.
Dau brwt. Felly am y tro Denley, diolch yn fawr iawn I chi ddod I nôl I weld pwy eitha hi felly yn yma.
Mae yna ddigon o ddrama yn adran pwyser cigydd ar hyn o bryd. Irwin Richards.
Well, plenty of drama in the cattle ring, and there's plenty of drama going on in the sheep ring as well. Here's Gerald again.
And we return to the butcher's weight class, and Mr. Slate has been working tirelessly prior to us being away and hasn't made any form of selection yet, but he has 4 exceptional good animals, pairs of animals I should say, in front of himself, and they're looking there at Mr. Wett's pair of lambs, trimmed exceptional, but they are exceptional meat. They look very, very good meated lambs to me. So, Mr. Slater, sorry, has agreed, and it is the Robert West that has been successful and gone forward. As we alluded to before, the second prize pair to Mr. West will come forward to try against him, and that'll be Mr. Robert West again, so he must have got a substitute handler, so he's going to have a good show. He's guaranteed to be first and maybe second as well, but I'm sure he'll settle for first and perhaps pass by second. But they are exceptional, nice, good quality lambs, and I'm sure they'll feature very strongly later on in the Supreme Championship against the other winners of their particular sections. As I alluded to before, Butcher's Weight has quite a strong record on going forward towards the Supreme Championship of the show. And there you go, his second place is been selected.
Massive congratulations.
Thank you very much.
How did that feel like?
I don't think it's really sunk in yet. It's amazing, really.
He kept us all on our toes, didn't he?
I know, he's made us sweat for it and work for it out there.
Yeah, you are sweating.
Yeah, sorry. It's a lot different day today to what it was yesterday. It's a lot warmer.
Yes. How were the nerves, though?
Fairly up there. They were, yeah.
You've had a good season so far?
Oh, it's been great, yeah. Very good.
How do you keep on turning them out so well?
Just keep trying every year and try and do your best, and that's about all you can do, really.
How were the nerves for the big one?
I've not really thought about it yet. I wasn't planning on getting this far, so they'll start to sink in soon, I would think.
Good luck too.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, diolch.
Don't forget, you can follow all the information about the Winter Fair on our social media, Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, as well as the website, which is s4c.cymru/fireaf. Well, here's Gerald once again, and we're in the cattle ring this time.
We're back to the first steer section, the lightweights, and Mr. Brute been working quite hard, and it looks, to be honest with you, at this present moment, I see Carol on top line there, so maybe the dream of competing against Mum in the Supreme Final might just start here. But as I say, she wins this section, she will have to then go and compete against other steers in the little bit heavier sections, but it'll be a first step on the ladder if she does succeed by here to start. As I alluded to before, it's in the hands of Mr. Brute. Brute walking around like a gunslinger there with his hands in his pockets. I don't know. Perhaps the occasion is getting to him slightly, but...
Simon wedi teithio o Lanafan ger Llanelwedd sydd yn y safle cynta. Dion Hughes wedi'n drws.
I'm not too sure, not too far away from his decision of first prize winner in the small section, or the smaller section. Yes, he has, so it is Carol that is successful with her steer, number 175, sorry, number 200, weighing 341. The name of Bad Habit. So is it a good habit or a bad habit that she's been successful? I don't know, but she has a good start in the steer section. Very attractive, nice steer.
Ac edrychwn ni mlaen nawr Tydynlu at y busnes sydd i ddod.
Very good.
Wel, Carol, wy'n gwybod am ffaith bod ti'n gwenu o dan y mwgwd na llongochiad ei ti.
Diolch yn fawr i chi.
Na beth yw dechrau dair cystadlu heddi?
Carol there, like as alluded to, will be excited to go ahead and compete in the overall steer championship then, as I said, to compete against perhaps Mum, who has already won the champion heifer section. She'll have to wait a little bit longer to be out back in the ring to compete against the stronger steers.
Noddir y rhaglen hon gan Coleg Glyn Llifon, rhan o grŵp Sandriso Menai. Noddir y rhaglen hon gan Coleg Glyn Llifon, rhan o grŵp Sandriso Menai.
Welcome back to the showground here in Llanelwydd, and just a quick reminder that the Welsh First Minister Mark Drakeford will be making a COVID-19 announcement shortly at 12:15, and you can follow that particular press conference on the S4C Facebook page. In the meantime, back in the food hall, and Nia is with Rhys Jones, who's representing Waffles Tregoes, and they're getting a very good response in the food hall, and Rhys is just referring to the fact that there was a big queue outside the food hall, and he was saying that they were all queuing up for the waffles of Tregoes. Well, he was just saying that the way that the system has been organised within the food hall this year, with the one-way system, of course, due to the COVID restrictions, has worked out better for their stall in comparison to the previous years. So they're obviously selling quite a few waffles here at the Winter Fair. And by now, of course, the company having been established for quite a while, the waffles are being sold all over Wales, but obviously they're not selling as much locally as they were before the lockdown period, but the retail market has really taken off.
So mae'n actually yn gweithio allan really dda I gael phobl I gweld y crackers newydd.
Achos ar y bwrdd fan hyn, mae'n 6...
And as well as the waffles, which they've been selling for quite a while, there are some new crackers. Those that Rhys are touching now are the original waffles that they were selling, which they sell worldwide, by the way. And but they have now developed some new waffles, which perhaps are not as easy to get hold of in the shops.
Ond, so prif cynnyrch fan hyn, a wedyn fwy poblogaidd gyda'r siocled golau, a wedyn siocled dywyll.
Here we are. There's waffles there with the milk chocolate, which are very popular, more popular than the actual dark chocolate waffles.
Waffles perffaith gyda
chocolate. A ti'n gallu rhoi hwnna dros y baned?
Na, bydd hi'n neud, mes y ffordd nôl.
Ond wedyn, mae hwn yn ddatblygiad mwy diweddar, yn dydi, y crackers yma.
And Nia's referring to the new Tregoes crackers that are on the market, the rustic crusters with wholemeal flour. And the taste and the texture is a bit different to the savoury crackers, which we see on the right-hand side, and in the middle, of course, there's the cheese crackers. And Nia's about to try the cheese crackers. But obviously, these are very popular to include within a Christmas hamper, for example. So,
snack nice.
And the cheese crackers obviously created an impression on Nia.
Well, a peiriant sy'n gyda ni ar hyn o bryd.
Well, Nia's just asking how many waffles do they produce every day.
And mae hwn yn gallu neud 4,000 waffles an hour.
And they can, the machine that they have producing the waffles can make 4,000 waffles an hour.
Ond mae'n dal ddim yn mynd yn proper go iawn, so ni'n reit dan o'r full capacity to, ond gobeithio.
But they're hoping in the future to be able to produce small waffles as well for the hotel and food sailors market.
Gwestiau a gweld waffles bach ar y pillow na yw dream yna.
Wel, mae o'n breuddwyd yn dydi, a bydda rhywun yn breuddwydion felys iawn wedyn. Rhys, pob dymuniad da, diolch am ddod I fyny ato ni efo'r cynnyrch yma, blasus dros ben.
Well, there we are. That was Rhys Jones from Waffles Tregoes. And no doubt we will be returning to Nia in the food hall before the end of the day. Let's go over quickly to the horse ring, and here's Rob.
Yeah, and we're back joining the second class in the Welsh Section C, the Welsh Pony of Cob type classes here at the Winter Fair. And that's for the foal, a filly or gelding foal. And from that little mad dash in, it looks to me as if we're joining the end of the class here. And the final placings, I could be wrong there, but I believe I am right. The judging has been going on for a little while.
Piers Morgan and Drydydd.
Very strong class. 32 entries forward in this class.
Catrin and Bedwerydd Hugh.
1078 currently, although unconfirmed. Nathan Sage with Bryn Carnau Glory's Gift. The Bay on the left of the screen there, bred by the exhibitor by Roswen Gladiator and out of a mare called Blue Haven Glorious. The one currently standing top has had a little bit of success over the autumn, been supreme champion at the Carmarthen Association of the Welsh Pony Cop Society foal show. But things can change. 1059 standing second. We'll be hoping that things do change. Michael Cobley currently second, Travell Queen of Diamonds. But as we near the end of the class, that lovely typey bay filly just exiting left on the screen is the judge's choice. Our judge, John Welsh, Newgap stud. A depth of experience in the Section C's, been keeping them since around 1979, in between running a hotel. Prior to that, of course, I'm very impressed by the fact that he was stud manager for Charlie Watts of the Rolling Stones in their enterprise of breeding Arabs. But Mr. Welsh doesn't have any Arabs anymore. It's Welsh Section C's every inch of the way. And just interesting point, really. He's very much clear in his preface to this judging that he's looking for very much a pony type, something with a little bit of quality and prettiness, and also the prerequisite in Welsh breeds of good substance, sort of a bit of density of natural bone and muscling. Top two have been turned sideways, so again, things could change. The eyes are still comparing. We can see them flicking between what he's placed currently, first and second. It ain't over until, and all of that, the saying goes, but Stuart's hat is off, as is Mr. Welsh's hat. And there we are, the winner of the second of the Section C classes for the filly or gelding. And that is number 1078. For Nathan Sage, Bryn Carnau Glory's Gift. Bred by the exhibitor. Here he is with his back to us in the orange waistcoat, handling today.
Thank you very much.
And as mentioned by Roswen Gladiator out of Blue Haven Glorious. Let's see what he has to say.
And it's homebred filly, so we are over the moon. And not just homebred, home produced. Home produced, homebred, yeah. And, no word. And there's a bit of good breeding in this one. It is, yes, yeah. Only back to yourself there.
Oh, well done, Nathan. Thrilled to bits for you, and I'm sure the family here, they're all here. I've seen them earlier on.
They're all here somewhere.
Good, well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Da iawn.
Thank you.
Nathan Sage there, obviously very pleased in actually winning a class of some 32 filly or gelding foals in the Section C's. And very much what Mr. Welsh would be looking for. A Welsh pony, natural substance, very much a pony type.
Thanks, Rob. Well, before we go into the cattle ring, just a quick reminder that the Welsh First Minister, Mark Drakeford, has made a new announcement regarding COVID-19. That announcement is available to be seen on the Facebook page if you want to find out exactly what Mark Drakeford had said this afternoon. Right, let's go back to the cattle ring now, and it's Gerald Lewis once again.
And we're back to the baby beef second section. And there's only 4 been drafted in a similar weight section here at 356 to 391. We have some familiar faces in this particular section. Mr. Tequin Jones there from North Wales with his red steer there. And some very appropriate names again in Scarlet, Prince, Josh and Vesper. I don't know where these particular people derive these names from, I do not know, but that is the name that they will be with them for the rest of their showing career. Again, the limousine, quite strong. And we have a winner in Mr. Tequin Jones, who's been very, very successful in this show before with his animal Scarlet, number 197, and we'll see him in the overall steer baby championship later on.
Noddir y rhaglen hon gan Coleg Glyn Llifon, rhan o grŵp Sandriso Menai. Noddir y rhaglen hon gan Coleg Glyn Llifon, rhan o grŵp Santriso Menai.
Welcome back to the Royal Welsh Showground, and we are going to head straight to the pig shed. Here's Gerald.
Yes, we've had the pairs competition in the pig shed, and the familiar face there, Mr. Rob Rattray, giving his opinion on the excellent pigs that's in front of us. And this is a pairs competition, is job for us to assess realistically, because they are all kept together in their pen. So not as I'm an expert on pigs, but I could like to have a bit of vision to see what conformation and type of pig they are. But the judge has the most important view of the whole pair, so we have the different breeds of pigs here, and Saddleback there in view. I'm not too sure on what a lot of these pigs are crossed, but they are crossbred pigs.
Brindley Davis fan o'r moch mwy o size da fe fyna.
Heina'n bar bach neis.
Ydy, bar bach neis iawn o'i gilydd ydyn. Dwy gilt bach neis. Na, un wedi sbaddu a un gilt sy'n na, fi'n gweld nawr.
Dwi'n mwyn dwi'n mynd i ofyn os oes gennych chi ffefrynnau. Da chi wedi dweud yn barod o ran safon personol, falle mewn mwy o fraster ar y Cymraeg, ond...
Exceptional pairs and turned out to perfection, and the pigs are very strong classes, as we can see at least 10 pairs competing for this, and there's the Petrins that we featured yesterday that have done very well in the show so far, so a pair of exceptional muscular pigs there.
Ydy, what a take. Ydy di.
Unfortunately, we can't quite see what the pair of ladies are hiding behind the sheet there, but here they come, and I believe they're Welsh pigs. Pair of Welsh. They must have run out of gates to keep them in, because this pair are on the run. Chaos, organised chaos, yes.
Not easy to judge.
No. People have to work tirelessly to keep it. So anyway, we must follow the judge around. The camera is trying its best to keep up with the judge to see which pair he is. And there's another pair of Petrins that we can see in the corner with a distinctive colouring. Patchy pigs or whatever you want to call them, but they have exceptional good conformation to be able to carry them coloured patches. But we have a judge who will cast his expert eye over these exceptional pairs of pigs, and I don't think we're going to have to wait too long. The lady in the corner is getting the rosettes and that ready to award to the pigs, and they are walking forward. Mr. Glyn Davis has made his decision, and he has awarded it to Hugh and Ella Roberts. Many congratulations to them. Unfortunately, with the pigs, we can't get a very good view of the pair of pigs, but they've won in this very strong class, as we can see most of them. Then they must be an outstanding pair of pigs. He shut the gate in case he let him out again. There would be more organised chaos than running around, yes.
Wel, gwych. Dwi'n falch dros nhw. Maen nhw wedi bod yn cystadlu, a maen nhw'n deulu hoffus dros ben ac yn frwd iawn efo'r moch yma. Cwmni oink wrth gwrs. Right.
Well, hopefully then later on we will come back for the auction and see how much these glamorous and good quality pigs will make, and we'll be, let's hope that they get the reward that they deserve.
Cipio'r gil wobr yn bencampwriaeth y pare. Rob, diolch yn fawr am y cwmni chi.
Diolch i chi.
Diolch yn fawr.
Well, it's back to the cattle ring, and it's Gerald once again.
We're back to the another section of the Steer Championship. We've gone up slightly again. This is the third section in the Steer Championship, and as I alluded to many times before, they go up in weight, and actually this time then one of the steers has just come in at 424, so it's only just made it under the ceiling of 425, but there is from 398 to 424. And we have Rockstar, Baloo, Piccolo and Mr. Bond, and some very attractive and mobile animals, and some local people represented in here again, when just down the road again, Mr. Phil Jones competing. Two reds and two black animals again. Mr. Brute now will been working tirelessly for all morning, judging these outstanding quality animals. He'll be either going home being very, very happy with what he's got at home, or perhaps he'll be thinking, am I going to continue? Because there is some outstanding calves here today. And they hold a lot of auctions then for these potential cattle. They hold one in Brecon in February, and then a very big one again then up in Ruthin Mart in February, in the month of February as well. And these potential animals have been kept by their respective owners, hoping that they will achieve a good price here later on in the actual fair. But a lot of the suckle calves, or good quality suckle calves, are sold in the two sales that I've just mentioned, and a lot of prospective purchases come. There is classes in the summer shows for baby beef, so if there had have been summer shows going, then some of these young animals would have been shown throughout the summer. But obviously with the restrictions and problems that we have incurred throughout the summer period, there hasn't been any shows. So as I alluded to before, many of these animals will be the first time that they have actually been out in public view. So Mr. Brute now is asking these animals to parade around the ring, so as maybe he's just got a little question on the very, very similar, probably handling wise and visually wise, and perhaps the decision of how well they walk and parade themselves around the ring. It's getting a little bit like the horse world.
Nothing like the horse world, Gerald. The judge here impresses me. I'm not an expert on cattle, but this man is intent on his job.
Oh, they have to. They have to be.
Similar attention. You can just tell he's
That's quite right. Well, there we are. He has made his decision, and it is number 196. PJ and T.A. Jones from just down the road here. Mr. Bond. And very nice quality animal, which will be competing now in against the other sections of the steer section. But hands-on we have to be, because there is a lot of faults and a lot of good points hidden under that skin, which he has to assess which are the correct ones. So we'll come back later on and see this steer competing against the other steers in this particular section.
A wedyn mi fydd yr eidon buddigol yn mynd mlaen yn erbyn yr heffer buddigol. Felly mae yna gystadlu gwych i ddod fan hyn ynghylch y gwartheg drwy'r dydd. Felly dewch nôl ato ni nes ymlaen.
Noddir y rhaglen hon gan Coleg Glyn Llifon, rhan o grŵp Llandrillo Menai. Noddir y rhaglen hon gan Coleg Glyn Llifon, rhan o grŵp Llandrillo Menai.
Welcome back to the Royal Welsh Showground, second day of the Winter Fair. Well, previously we saw the Supreme Champion pair pigs. Well, we're going back to the pig ring, and it's the Supreme Champion pig this time.
Yeah, welcome back to the pigs, and we can see Rob Rattray giving his opinion again, and a single championship. And unfortunately, all pigs are kept in their pigs, so perhaps these pigs are under lockdown or something, I don't know, but it's an individual pig this time, and the competitor base is probably limited the same, as there's not too many competitors like the sheep sections and the cattle sections, but that doesn't detract from the quality of the pigs that are on display. Mr. Glyn Davis then again has worked tirelessly throughout these last 2 days, and he looks as if he's made his champion again on the single, and he's awarded, I believe, again to the Hugh and Ella Roberts family. So they've had a tremendous show, having won the single and the pair. So they'll be looking forward to the auction later on. And this is a Welsh bred pig. Not quite as extreme muscular as the Petrins and some of the other breeds, but still an exceptional good quality pig, and Mr. Glyn Davis there must have seen what he wants or requires. We've seen earlier on Mr. Rob Rattray there casting his eye over whether he agrees or not, but he probably thinking of purchasing, or usually does purchase, some animals out of this section for his butcher shop there in Aberystwyth. So will he back Mr. Davidge's judgment, or will he have his own mind of which he considers to be the best pig that he'd like to have in his shop? But as I alluded to earlier, a very, very good show for the Roberts family, and many congratulations, and a marvellous achievement to come here to the Royal Winter Fair and take Supreme Single and Pairs Championship. They'll have as much problems in carting home all the prizes as carting the pigs to the show, perhaps. There you go, second prize. Oh, pig wants to come out, but well, we'll have to come back later on and hopefully see that Mr. Davis's judgment is correct and that they may achieve a good price.
Well, there's more Supreme Championships to come, of course, but in the meantime, we're going to go to the horse ring and join Rob.
Dosbarth, nice cael gweld pawb yn ei gilydd eto.
Dim yr i rhannu tro yma, mae rhif bach yn llai i fyd, ond ar y cyfan, y quality eitha da yma.
Wel, John Welsh yw'r gŵr bonheddig sydd yn cael y fraint y feirniadu yma, Brydfa Newgap, ochred Dolgelle, ac John wedi symud o Fanceinion i fyw yn Dolgelle i rhedeg gwesty'r ship, ac yn boblogaidd iawn yno.
Ceffil cynta newydd fynd fyna o Kent, so maen nhw'n dod o bobman i Llanelwedd yna fe. Ar un beth fan hyn, dyw'r rhif ddim mor gryf yn y pethau blwyddyn yma, a wastod mae pobl yn dangos swclod yn rhwyddach yna fe. I gadw ebol blwydd, mae rhaid chi gadw e mewn a ffeidio fe, mae'n gostus.
Wel, dyma Dorian Lloyd yn dangos ar ran Richard Morgan.
Ni Ceffil Richard o Llambed, Dorian yn goswr heb i ail. Dim yn aml mae Richard yn rhoi nhw mas i cael ei produso, so either mae fe'n fusu sar we yn ei waith bob dydd, a mae Dorian, even though mae gof yw Dorian, mae'n siŵr mae'n cael yr amser sa'i yn gwybod. Ceffil Palomino arall.
1-9-6. Panter yr Gold Rush, wrth y march Brohedydd Golden Joey ac allan a boblgoed You Look It Up. Felly os ni
ei frawd
yn gynharach.
Do. Ebol mowr fan hyn, flwydd. Ebol cynnar, dyn ni'n meddwl.
Just yn gael un anodd I setlo.
Rhaid troi mas yn arbennig.
Dumbles dancer, fatha march Dumbles envious Grandera. Ac allan a coeden Donatella.
Yn danso wedyn, lle rhedeg. Sanne Gwynion yn blaenllaw fan hyn heddi, clas ma to, David. Palomino arall.
Maes Llwch Air Pyr. Un arall gen wrth y march Brohedydd Golden Joey. Ac allan am Maes Llwch Miss Dynamite.
Do, fydd Hugh yn lwcus cymydog fi, Hugh Jenkins CPR Brohedydd. David Hughes fan hyn nawr o Tregaron. Cors Caron stud, wel David all ddi fi yn lleol. Credu mae producer yma fe, dim beth sy'n berchen hwnna, David, neu?
Shamrock Lake Wild Hero, dyfodnogaeth John Arnold. Y march Brynsean Lord Mayday ac allan Abercypin y Wild Honey. Felly, dyn ni wedi gweld pob un yn trotian yn unigol ac dyn ni'n edrych ymlaen I weld pwy fydd yn cael ei dynnu fewn. Mewn pa drefn y fydden nhw'n cael ei dynnu fewn yn fan hyn.
John, to debate the yelling class, and we'll be back to find his decision.
Wel, dyma ni wedi cyrraedd y foment fawr.
Thanks, Rob. Right, let's go to the cattle ring and join Gerald.
Yes, we're back in the steer section. And we can see that we are in the final of the baby beef steer section class. The four winners from their respective sections coming forward. And this is Mr. Brute who will be nearing the conclusion of his job for today, but he has to select a champion steer. Then the champion steer of this continental section will go against the champion native breed. And champion steer then from that section will go forward against the previous winner, which we seen earlier on in champion heifer, was Miss Wendy Morgan. So which one of these four good steers will go forward? And as I stated before, there's Carol, Wendy's daughter, stood in the centre there. Will she be lucky enough to go forward and compete against her mother? But we will have to find out. But he's made his decision, I believe, and it is the... he's calling the judge over, actually. He hasn't made his decision.
Ar y pencampwr, ond pwy tybed, pwy? Ti'n mynd I fynd â hi? A dyna ni.
And there you go, he's made his decision, and it is number 196.
A Caryl yn mynd ar gil wobr. Llongorchiadau mowr iawn I Caryl a'r teulu hefyd wrth gwrs. Ond y garden goch yn aros yn lleol, yn aros yn Llanelwedd. A llongorchiadau'r teulu cyfan, ardderchog. Denley, diolch yn fawr iawn I chi am eich cwmni.
Iawn, pleser.
Well, Ryan, llongyfarchiadau, congratulations, a local winner. You must be over the moon.
No, I'm very pleased with him. I love the bullock.
Number 196 is from Phil Jones down the road here in Irwood. Mr. Bond. There's won the steer championship of the steer baby beef. He will therefore go now and compete against Miss Wendy Morgan in the overall baby beef section later on.
Can you do it? Can you go all the way?
We'll give it our best shot, won't we?
You're in it to win it now. Llongorchiadau, pob luck. Good luck. Thank you, Ryan.
Yes, you've got to be in it to win it. Well, we were with Aaron earlier on in the carcass hall looking at the carcasses. Well, now there's a few more people in the carcass hall because we're looking at the auction. John Richards from Meat Promotion Wales with Aaron. And we'll see how deep the pockets are. They have been selling some of the carcasses earlier on, but these are the carcasses that have come to the fore. And as you can see, there's a lot of interest in the carcasses being auctioned here at the Winter Fair. and they've started the bidding at 500, I think. The prices earlier in the day were selling at about 150 to 200, but the bidding has started for this carcass at 500. And what always tickles me here, Gerald, is the subtlety of the bidding. As you see that gentleman over there in the yellow tie just tapping his elbow every now and again.
Yes, that gentleman in the yellow tie there is Mr. Lewis Roberts from Cardiff, and he has purchased the champion or reserve champion in the Winter Fair here for many years.
He's just got up to 2,000 for this particular carcass.
Oh, good grief. I would suggest that that's a lot more than he's ever paid before. So there is somebody else that is once that particular carcass as well. But to be fair, the loyal supporters of the fair and buy the champion carcass. And there you go. It is Mr. Lewis Roberts that has purchased the champion carcass. Single carcass. So congratulations to him. And to be fair, he has stuck to his guns. Straight on with business, and we come to the reserve champion carcass. So let's see if he'll back his judgment and buy this as well, or will the underbidder on the Supreme go for the reserve?
I'm trying to listen in on the auction here to see what the price is. Quite difficult with Aaron and John talking in the background as well.
You can see, as you alluded to, his subtle bidding. He was not expressing a lot of energy in bidding, just moving his finger. But that's sufficient for the auctioneer to see that he means business and is willing to buy.
Well, they started at 1,000, which is 500 more than the champion carcass.
He's going, but he's also got his eye on his person that is bidding against him then, so...
we're up to 2,300.
We can see that the reserve champion has exceeded the price of the champion.
It has indeed.
How far are we going to go?
We're over 3,000 now. I don't think Lewis Roberts is bidding. Yes, he is.
Oh, he is.
He is. Just ever so subtly.
Yeah.
3,700.
Goodness gracious. £1,500 more than the champion.
Bid.
$3,700.
Well. Now, does that happen often, Gerald, where the Supreme Champion carcass is sold for less than the reserve?
No, sir, I've never heard that before. So as somebody of so fancy, but I don't think there's £1,500 worth of value in the difference in them two carcasses. But somebody bottled out on the first one, I do not know. We will never know, but it's an exceptional good price for a very good product.
Indeed. Yes, well, there'll be more auctions, of course, later in the afternoon. Well, our period of broadcasting this morning is slowly coming to an end. We will be going off the air shortly, but we will be returning at 2 o'clock. Meantime, what does the weather have in store for us this afternoon? A few maybe scattered showers. It's quite mild but cloudy here in Builth, with temperatures, the highest about 10 to 12 degrees centigrade. Tonight there's going to be some rain moving in across the country, but it will have cleared by the morning. The highest temperatures overnight between 6 and 9 degrees Celsius. Could be a bit more wintry conditions by the end of the day tomorrow.
Diolch I ti, Llyr. Diolch am y tywydd hyd yn hyn heddiw. Mae hwn ddelfrydol. A ti wedi cael cyfle fel un sy'n dod...
Well, he has just asking Llyr if he's had an opportunity to have a wander around the showground as it's his first visit to the Winter Fair. He's really enjoyed walking around and popping into the food hall, and just there's a a variety of things to see here at the Winter Fair. Well, as I said, we will be going off the air for a short while now, but we will be back at 2 o'clock and we'll be with you until 4 o'clock this afternoon. Till 2 o'clock, goodbye.
Noddir y rhaglen hon gan Coleg Glyn Llifon, rhan o grŵp Llandrillo Menai.
Prynhawn da chi oherwydd pryderon am amrywiolyn newydd y coronavirus, fe bydd holl oedolion Cymru dros 19 oed yn cael cynnig trydydd brechiad Covid. Fe ddaeth y cadarnhad hwnnw yn ystod cynhadledd newyddion Llywodraeth Cymru ychydig funudau nôl. Fe fydd y trydydd pigiad ar gael 3 mis ar ôl yr ail, ond mae'r Llywodraeth yn cydnabod y bydd hi'n her i fedru brechu cynifer o bobl mewn cyfnod cymharol fyr. Dyma sylwadau'r gweinidog iechyd Eluned Morgan.
Mae'r rhaglen, fel mae hi ar hyn o bryd, eisoes yn un eitha cymleth o ran brechu, ond wrth gwrs beth ni'n neud nawr yw i ailwampio hwn gan sicrhau y bydd byddin newydd o bobl yn gallu dod i'r adwy'n helpu ni gyda'r sefyllfa yma. Mae rhai gwahoddiadau eisoes wedi cael ei estyn i bobl i ddod ymlaen. Rhaid ni wedi mynd i ganol rhagfyr eisoes, ond mi fyddwn ni'n galw ar myfyrwyr, mi fyddwn ni'n galw ar Llywodraeth leol. Mae lot o drefniadau eisoes mewn lle, ond bydd y rhaglen yna yn cael ei datblygu yn ystod y diwrnodau nesaf.
Y gweinidog iechyd Eluned Morgan ac fe allwn ni glywed rhagor rwan yng nghwmni ein gohebydd gwleidyddol Catrin Haf Jones. Cynhadlau newyddion bwysig iawn heddiw, Catrin, dwedwch rhagor wrthon ni beth yn union ddwedodd y gweinidog.
Wel, y tôn gofalus iawn yn sicr Elis gan y gweinidog iechyd Eluned Morgan a hefyd Dr Jill Richardson, sef y dirprwy brif swyddog meddygol i Gymru sy'n arwain ar y rhaglen frechu. A hynny yn anochel wrth gwrs, achos mae nifer o bethau ni dal ddim yn gwybod am yr amrywiolyn newydd mae Omicron. Gath ond i ddarganfod, os gofiwch chi nôl dydd Mercher diwetha yn swyddogol a hynny yn ne Affrica. Un peth ni yn gwybod o dystiolaeth gynnar yw i fod yn lledaenu yn sydyn iawn, ond beth yw ei effaith ar rheini sy'n cael ei effeithio di ni dal ddim yn gwybod. Oedd Eluned Morgan yn sôn am rhai o'r mesurau sydd wedi cael eu cyflwyno eisoes yng Nghymru o ran hunan ynysu. Os oes rhywun yn profi'n bositif i Omicron, mae unrhyw gysylltiad agos i fod i hunan ynysu am 10 diwrnod nawr. A hefyd y newyddion ar dros nos bod newid i'r rheolau mewn ysgolion uwchradd a cholegau a phrifysgolion bod myfyrwyr i fod i wisgo mygydau o fewn ystafelloedd dosbarth ac ar goridorau lle nad yw hi'n bosib ymbellain gymdeithasol dan do wrth gwrs. Mae hynny wedi cael ei groesawu gan undeb prif athrawon yr NAHT, ond cwestiynau hefyd, a dyle fe fod yn mynd ymhellach, a dyle fod camau pellach mewn ysgolion cynradd. Mae yna gwestiynau hefyd, a dyle ysgolion fod yn cau yn gynt yng Nghymru cyn y Nadolig. I ni'n deall bod y trafodaethau hynny yn parhau ag undebau ag awdurdodau lleol, ond dim penderfyniad wedi i'w wneud ar hynny eto ta beth, ond yn amlwg mae'r trafodaethau yna a'r cwestiynau yna yn parhau. Oedd neges gref gan Eluned Morgan ynglyn â'r Nadolig, wedodd hi bod angen i bob un gymryd gofal wrth gymysgu dan do dros y Nadolig, achos bod yna risg uchel o ledaenu'r feirws a y perygl yn hynny yn amlwg, ond bod hi'n rhy gynnar i weid a fydde unrhyw fesurau llymach yn cael eu cyflwyno rhwng nawr a Rhagfyr y 15.
Ac o ran y cynllun brechu, bwriad i ehangu a chyflymu hwnnw, ond cydnabyddiaeth bod hi yn mynd i fod yn her.
Ie, cydnabyddiaeth yn sicr bod hi'n mynd i fod yn her i gyrraedd yr argymhelliad newydd mae gan y cydbwyllgor brechu. Wrth gwrs bod pob un nawr fod cael yr ail dros ddeunaw fod cael yr brechlyn ychwanegol o fewn 3 mis. Dyna'r nod gan Lywodraeth Cymru hefyd wedi cadarnhau heddi bod nhw yn anelu at hynny, ond mae yn swnio'n her arbennig i gael popeth yn ei le. Eluned Morgan, fel glywon ni'n y clip na'n blaenorol, yn sôn am byddin o bobl i ddod at ei gilydd i wireddu hyn, ond yn sicr mae yna her a dim targedau eto chwaith. Felly dyna faint yr her i chi, Elis.
Catrin, diolch yn fawr iawn i chi. Mae ymgynghorydd Ysbyty'n dweud y dylai theatr canolfan y Millennium orfod cau oherwydd nad oedd rheolau Covid yn cael ei parchu gan ymwelwyr. Yn ôl yr ymgynghorydd sydd ddim am ei wenw gael ei gyhoeddi, roedd y rhan fwyaf bobl wedi tynnu mygydau yn y theatr ac roedd na besychu mhob man. Mae rheolwyr y ganolfan yn dweud bod diogelwch yn holl bwysig a'i bod yn cydymffurfio â'r rheolau llywodraeth a chanllawiau yn y maes perfformio. Yn Lloegr, mae'n hanfodol unwaith eto i wisgo mygydau mewn siopau ac ar y drafnidiaeth gyhoeddus oherwydd pryderon am amrywiolyn Omicron. Eto mae rheolwyr rhai siopa'n rhybuddio bydd hi'n anodd gorfodi cwsmeriaid i wisgo mygydau. Mi alla fferyllfeydd gael ei defnyddio i ehangu'r cynllun brechu, a bydd Boris Johnson yn dweud rhagor am hynny yn nes ymlaen heddiw. Mae rhai pobl yn dal i fod heb drydan yn dilyn storm arwen dridiau ers i honno daro. Yn ôl SP Energy, doedd gan 450 o gwsmeriaid ddim trydan yng Ngogledd Cymru bore yma, ond roedd y difrod gafodd ei wneud y gweitha ers 15 mlynedd gyda'r gwyntoedd yn cyrraedd dros 90 milltir yr awr mewn mannau. Mae yna rybydd y bydd pobl sy'n cadw anifeiliaid yn sylwi cyn hir bod yna brinder milfeddygon. Yn ôl Coleg Brenhinol, y milfeddygon llawfeddygol, does dim digon o bobl yn dewis dilyn gyrfa yn y maes hwnnw, bod mwy yn cadw anifeiliaid o ganlyniad i'r pandemig. Mae Milfeddyg ym Mhen y Bont wedi dechrau cynllun mentora wrth geisio denu rhagor o bobl i faes gofal anifeiliaid. Mae teulu Llanc fu farw ar ôl syrthio Magalwf yn dweud bod nhw'n falch y bydd mesura diogelwch yn cael ei cyflwyno yn ei enw. Roedd Tom Channon, oedd yn 19 oed, wedi disgyn oddi ar wal 70 troedfedd. Fe fydd y swyddfa dramor nawr yn dechrau cynllun i geisio gwneud gwyliau yn fwy diogel yn yr ynysoedd oddi ar arfordir Sbaen. Fe fydd Merched Cymru'n gobeithio cymryd cam arall at rowndiad terfynol Cwpan Pêl-droed y Byd heno, ond fydd hi ddim yn gêm hawdd. Ffrainc fydd y gwrthwynebwyr oddi cartra ac maen nhw ar frig y grŵp. Mae Cymru wedi bod yn chwarae'n dda hynny, gan giro Gwlad Groeg o 5-0 nos Wener. a phob dymuniad da iddyn nhw. Wel, dyna ni am y tro, fe fyddwn ni nôl hefo rhagor o newyddion ychydig cyn dau. Cofiwch hefyd wrth gwrs am y brif raglen newyddion am hanner awr wedi saith, llawer mwy o mater i'r cynhadledd newyddion heddiw.
Tra bod tîm y Ffair Eef yn cael hwyfach tan ddau, da ni'n treulio'r awran fach nesaf yma rwan ar S4C yn Llanelli, gyda chryw prynhawn da.
Pnawn da i chi, croeso cynnes iawn i chi ato ni unwaith eto. Rhaglen ola mis Tachwedd yn diw'r flwyddyn ma'n Edfan.
Yn diwe, mis bach arall a byddwn nhw'n canu calendig, Sian.
Isio dechrau marfer nawr yn dose? Dyma beth sydd â ni i chi heddi.
Ie, o'ch chi'n gwybod bod y nifer o bobl sy'n dysgu Cymraeg ar gynnydd, wel, gen i wybod pam nes mlaen.
Bod hi dal yn dymor yr Hydref, mae Ieuan yn paratoi at y Gwanwyn nesa.
Gewn ni wybod pa dri pheth sy'n bwysig i Arwel Evans o Frymberian Sir Benfro.
Catherine fydd yn hythrawes ffitrwydd heddi a bydd angen bach o bwysau arnoch chi heddi.
A Clecs y Catwalks da Hugh Fashion i heddi.
Dyna chi raglen heddi, croeso i Pnawn Da.
Ond ni'n dechrau gyda'r meddyg plant Dr Celyn Kenny. Siwt i Celyn?
Helo, neis i weld chi. Chi'n iawn?
Iawn, diolch.
Nawr, i ni'n mynd i ddechrau gyda diweddariad o ran Llywodraeth Cymru. Maen nhw'n gweud nawr falle bod eisiau i blant uwchradd i wisgo mygydau yn dilyn yr amrywioli newi yma. Cam doeth, ti'n meddwl?
Fi'n credu bod e'n rhywbeth synhwyrol a doeth iawn. Mae'r plant ysgolion uwchradd yn ymwybodol o y feirws hyn. Maen nhw wedi bod trwy amser rili caled dros y blwyddyn diwetha gyda'r clo mawr, goffo wneud gwaith ysgol o adre. A fi'n credu os rhywbeth, bydd nhw'n just yn falch bod nhw'n gallu dal dod i'r ysgol. A os mae gwisgo mwgwd yn meddwl bod yr ysgol yn aros ar agor dros cyfnod y gaeaf, dwi ddim yn peth gwael. A fi'n credu bod y plant yma lot fwy call na ni'n rhoi than we give them credit for. Maen nhw eisiau normality, maen nhw eisiau cael rhyw fath o nadolig normal, felly gobeithio bydd nhw jyst yn gryndo ar Mark Drakeford a'i athrawon wrth gwrs, a stico at gwisgo'r mygyda. Dwi ddim diwedd y byd.
A mae ysgolion yn fwy ymwybodol nawr hefyd yn dyn nhw o lles iechyd meddwl plant yn ogystal â iechyd corfforol nhw, yn
yn union, a fi'n credu na beth sy'n mor dda bod y plant yn mynd i'r ysgol nawr a gallu cael y cyfle i wneud hyn. Achos ni'n gwybod bod iechyd meddwl, problemau iechyd meddwl, un ym mhob 3 bron nawr gyda rhyw fath o broblem. Hyd yn oed y plant ysgolion gynradd ni wedi gweld cynnydd. Dim wythnos yn mynd hebron, neu chi ddim yn clywed rhyw stori erchill bod plentyn wedi dioddef o rannu iechyd meddwl. A fi'n credu bod yr ymwybyddiaeth yna, wel, mae fe'n rhywbeth really positif. Ni'n well nawr am siarad amdano fe. Mae lot o waith yn cael ei wneud o fewn ysgolion, lot o waith positif iawn o ran lles plant. A fi'n credu just cael bod yn ymwybodol, cael y plant i siarad, fi'n credu bod e'n rhywbeth ffantastig sydd wedi gwella dros y blwyddyn diwetha.
Sicr, un peth positif yn dweud wedi dod o hyn i gyd.
Nawr mae yna lwythi o feirysau byti, mae'n eia, a ti mo'n codi sylw i peth eraill ar wahân i coronavirus, yn dweud?
Os. Nes i gweld tweet yn ddiweddar gan un o'r paediatricians hyn sy'n cael ei adnabod dros y byd i gyd, a wedodd tro cyntaf mewn 15 mlynedd oedd wedi wneud virus screen. So, yn paediatrics, ni dim just yn edrych am coronavirus, ni'n edrych am popeth, achos ni mae'n trial ffindo reswm i ddim roi'r plentyn ar antibiotics, pam ni'n meddwl taw virus yw a mae llwythi ohonyn nhw. So, yn y tro cyntaf ni yn ei yrfa o 15 mlynedd, oedd wedi gweld plentyn yn positif am 5 virus, a dim un o'n nhw y coronavirus.
Waw.
So mae jyst yn dangos mae lot o virusau mas na, yn enwedig plant sydd ddim Covid-19. So just bod yn ymwybodol, bod pethau arall o amgylch ni. So dim just be ni'n gweld ar y newyddion.
Pa fath o bethau nawr ti'n mod, achos mae plant, pa ma nhw'n yr ysgol, wrth gwrs maen nhw'n dala pethau wrth ei gilydd yn dyn nhw. Ond pa fath o broblemau ni'n gweld?
So, tymeredd uchel, mae hwnna'n rhywbeth really arferol. Fi'n gweld gymaint o plant oedd yn gorau high temperature. Mae'n bwysig trial ffindo ffocws y temperature, y tymheredd. Felly, tymeredd uchel, peswch. Mae pawb wedi cael rhyw plentyn yn peswch yn ei gwyneb nhw dros yr wythnosau diwetha. Doler gwddf, ac wrth gwrs hefyd diarrhea and vomiting, so doler rydd a chwydu. Nhw yw'r pethau ni'n gweld gan amla, a llawer o feirysau gwahanol yn achosi'r 4 symptom yna, a llawer mae croesi rhwng y feirysau yma fyd yn digwydd.
I ti wedyn sy'n gweithio yn A&E yng Nghymran, ar ba bwynt ddyle falle rieni'n feddwl mae eisiau fi fynd i A&E nawr?
So, fi wastad yn dweud, os mae tymheredd gyda'ch plentyn, mae'n iawn os mae'ch plentyn yn iawn. Ond os mae tymeredd gyda'ch plentyn, mae'r plentyn yn llipa, mae'r plentyn chi ffili cael unrhyw synwyr mas o nhw, neu maen nhw'n dechrau cael, mae lot o plant yn cael ffits pan mae'r tymeredd ry uchel, dyna lle mae rai chi boeni. Dyw tymeredd dim wastad yn rhywbeth drwg. Mae'n dangos bod y corff yn ymladd y feirws neu beth bynnag sy'n mynd mlaen yn y corff. So ewch o ran eich plentyn. Pethau arall mae'n chi cofio yw os chi'n meddwl bod y plentyn yn glas o rownd y gwefusau. Os mae rash yn dod lan, chi gyd i clywed am os chi'n mynd ar darn o gwydyr, os yw rash ddim yn diflannu, mae hwnna'n red flag, please ewch i A&E. A just mynd, chi sy'n nabod eich plentyn gorau, mae rai chi cofio yna, ac wrth gwrs babis sy'n heb cael unrhyw jabs, so enwedig yn y mis cynta, yn y 2 fis cynta, unrhyw tymeredd mewn babi, please, dewch nhw i A&E.
Ond peidiwch a mynd i'r A&E os ydy yn rhywbeth eitha bach, achos chi ddigon busi, cerwch at y meddyg teulu, neu at y fferyllydd falle.
111, lot o wybodaeth i gael ar y we, Healthier Together, fi wastad yn sôn amdano fe, ond mae fe'n darn o technoleg ffantastig, lle chi'n gallu cael meddyg teulu o'ch cartre chi ar y we. Lot o wybodaeth na. Just byddwch yn synhwyrol. Obviously, os chi'n poeni, please dewch i weld ni. Ond please, pidwch dod am rhyw peswch sydd wedi bod na 4 wythnos a maen nhw jyst yn pigo fel lan to. Neu dod mewn a maen nhw'n bod yn sic a wedyn maen nhw'n rhoi'r bug i ni. Ni'n meddwl, diolch yn fawr.
Ie. Byddwch yn synhwyrol, nes ti daro'r hoelen ar ei ffen fanna pan ddwedais i chi sy'n nabod eich plentyn chi ore. Ac os nag nhw'n iawn yna, i chi gwybod wedyn, yn reddfol pryd i fynd â nhw.
Ni wastad moyn cwrdd â pobl newydd. Ni wastad moyn gweld chi yn A&E, ond ni'n brysur iawn ar y foment.
Wel, cwestiwn sef fi, mae'r ddolen wedi bod ar y sgrin gyda llaw, ond nhw'n mynd i holi, ti'n barod am y geia nawr? Yn yr ysbyty?
Fi ffili aros, Dafydd. Fi'n mor excited.
Wel, yn ymwneud beth ti wedi gweud heddi, fi'n siŵr gobeithio fydd e ddim yn eisiau.
So gewn ni weld beth fydd yn yr wythnosau nesaf yn dod ta.
Lyflu gweld ti fan hyn. Mae'n neis dy gael di yma gyda ni'n
studio. Neis bod yn y studio a ddim yn yr ysbyty.
Ond ti'n gweithio heno?
Fi'n gweithio am 4. So, dewch i weld fi yn y greid.
Gobeithio gei di noson dawel. Ac fel arfer, wrth gwrs, os i chi'n poeni am unrhyw beth i ni wedi bod yn trafod fan hyn, yna da chi cysylltwch a'ch meddyg teulu. Reit wedi'r hysbysebion, mi fyddwn ni'n mynd mas i'r ardd at Ieuan. A credwch ei peidio, mae fe'n